What's up, my good people of the internet? Dan Tortora here, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate your patience this morning as we got set and ready to go with our first guest coming on momentarily. In hour number one, we have Ross Turetsky, sportscaster and writer, as well as a baseball head coach, and very excited about all he's doing with Luzerne County Community College and what's coming up this baseball season as they've resurrected their baseball program. So very much looking forward to that. A jack of all trades and someone that I always appreciate speaking with is going to be joining us momentarily, in Ross Turetsky inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. And then we'll get into our conversation with Papa Joe. Both of these gentlemen joining me this morning to continue our conversation on the NFL's title game, which, of course, is coming up this Sunday between the Chiefs, the Niners, and Taylor Swift. So with that being said, a lot of great stuff coming up here on the show. We're also going to get into the Pat Mahomes factor. Brock Purdy, are the Chiefs a dynasty already? I saw other people having a conversation about, I was watching ESPN yesterday, and they were having this conversation that we've been having on the show, and then I've been talking about off the air. And so it's nice to see other people having this conversation too, because I think it's one that needs to be had. Are they already a dynasty without winning another Super Bowl? If they don't win this year, are the Chiefs a dynasty? So we're going to discuss that as well. And we'll get into some fun here with the Super Bowl picks that we're going to have. And I do want to let you know we're going to talk a little bit about student athletes being employees. The NCAA has had no control over anything for many decades. It is now all coming to a head in just a few years' time. From 2020 to now, the NCAA has completely and utterly lost control. The student athlete is really not a student athlete anymore. And if you're an employee, I think these student athletes forget that employees can get fired. So there's a lot of things to come up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Ross Turetsky in hour one, Papa Joe in hour two, and I'm picture in picture with one of my best buds out there, and that is Mr. Ross Turetsky. Ross, how are you?
Very good, and I have to tell you one thing. J-Man! Hey, good morning, Dan.
You know what I think is funny is however loud you said it, your mic like muted it for a second. The mic was like, wait a minute, there's too much coming
I'll
through.
do it again. J-Man!
So, you know, it's good to have you here. Good to get to be a part of this as always when you and I get to talk. And there's so many things going on and that we're going to get to. But before we go there, I do want to check in with you about Luzerne County Community College, how the baseball program is doing and where you're at, because you've been practicing, you've been getting yourselves out there. It hasn't been snowing. So even though it's been cold, you know, you've had sun and you've had better weather to practice in. You haven't had to push any snow off the field. So what's life like getting ready for the season?
It's exciting. We've been on the field. It's been mild for northeastern Pennsylvania. I warn all the guys, northeastern Pennsylvania weather could be very iffy. When it's like 40-something degrees, that's a beautiful warm day. Like, it's not going to get really warm till the end of the season, which is the first week of May. So we have to take advantage of it. We don't want to be cooped up in the gym. We're down on the field. We're hitting. We're doing infield, outfield, defensive drills, base running, bullpens, pitching to get everyone's arms ready to go and ramp them up. And we just found out our first game was supposed to be Wednesday, March 13th at Brookdale Community College in New Jersey, in Lincroft, New Jersey. Yeah. Well, that's been moved up 10 days. Now it's going to become a doubleheader on Sunday, March 3rd, starting at 12 o'clock in Jersey. And it will be against Brookdale Community College, a very good school, a very good opponent to kind of see where we're at. Yeah. And we're getting ready for that, and we're excited for the challenge. So we have the guys we need. We're still looking to see if we can add a few more just for depth purposes, but it's going to be an exciting season. And around our campus, we're trying to get the word out, and a lot of people are still like, there's baseball back? They're not sure, because basketball finally came back after a 4-year hiatus after COVID. There was no sports, so now we're getting all the sports to come back. Eventually, they're going to have softball. Women's basketball's coming. They have a coach now. And they have cross country. Basketball is playing pretty decent this season and being very competitive. And that's what we want to be. We want to be competitive. We know it's going to be challenging. There will be times we're going to be facing schools that have been together for a while. And they have a great infrastructure in their program. And, you know, it's going to be tough. It's going to be like an expansion team going up against the big boys. Sometimes we're going to take our lumps, but there's other times I think we have good players that believe in the squad and believe in these student athletes. We can sneak up on teams, and our recipe for success: pitch well, keep the games low scoring, make all the routine defensive plays. Don't have to make amazing plays, just make the routine plays,
Yeah.
and then we can win games 5-4, 4-3, close ball games. That's the recipe. Don't need to score 20 runs. We just hit enough, get some timely hitting, situational hitting, runners in scoring position, get a base hit. We hold them with good pitching and defense. We can stay in these games, and that's my plan. And we're very excited. Pretty much, what is it? Today is February 8th, so 21, so 24 days away. So 3 weeks from this Sunday, from Super Bowl Sunday, and I'll say Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not calling it a big game. 3 weeks from Sunday is opening day for us at Luzerne County Community College, and we can't be any more excited than we are.
Yeah, and I'm excited for you. I'm excited for this opportunity that steps at, that's right ahead of you. I mean, there's so many things that you're good at, and things that you've done, and things that you care about, and things that you want to do. And what I'm really excited about for you is it couldn't be a better person. You've worked so hard for so long to have your dreams come to fruition, and I've seen that, and you haven't given up on them. And now you've been a broadcaster, you've been a writer, you're now going to be a head coach. There's so many awesome things that you had fought for or thought about or had, maybe in that wheelhouse of dreams, and now they're all coming together. And I think that's great, and I love seeing it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see you get to a place where you can. I don't know why this popped up, but I'm excited to see you get to a place where you can really just excel at yet another thing, another dream, something that matters.
And I keep doing both things. Like, I don't want to give up on any of the dreams. So coaching baseball has always been a dream. Still doing sports writing for Times Leader locally, covering high school football and high school athletics and Little League baseball. And then helping out at Penn State Scranton, covering sports. We just had a doubleheader basketball game last night against Penn State Brandywine. I write up articles and I'm at the scores table doing the official scorebook and everything like that. Telling all the coaches when they're flipping out, how many timeouts do we have? How many timeouts? How many fouls do we have? I got to keep a track of that, even though I'm half asleep sometimes with the kids and stuff, how early they wake up and late they want to go to sleep. So I like to keep all the dreams alive, and I want to enjoy all of them while I still can.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you get to do that. It couldn't have happened to a better person. These opportunities that have come forward, that you really work for it. I know what it's like to work for something and be like, where is it? When is it coming? Why is it taking so long? And that type of stuff.
It was a long process. It seemed like it was never going to happen in any of the fronts, whether it be sports writing, coaching. Like, I didn't think I could volunteer my time away. So it's whether I'm getting paid great money or mediocre money, whatever it is, I'm just happy that I get these opportunities at this point. It took a long time. I've been out of college now for 16 years, and it's been a long process to get to even this level. Never mind if I eventually can go even further.
Yeah, and so for this fact and this, this morning as we're here, and you've worked, like you said, for the paper. You have obviously done your own show. You've been here with me a bunch throughout the years, and now.
By the way, this is my banner out here. My wife got me this banner.
DJ Roscoe Sports Show. So seeing that, and seeing that what you've been able to do with the DJ Roscoe Sports Show, with your writing, with being a coach. What would you say to somebody that's watching and listening right now who is like, I don't know where my opportunities are going to come. I've sent out a million resumes. I've tried, to get everything. I've looked at doing this. I've looked at doing that. I got to do a little bit of work, didn't make too much money here. I had to do this as an intern. What would you say to someone who's watching and listening to us somewhere around the world today that's chasing their dreams and feeling like they can't catch them?
You got to keep fighting. When you're at your lowest of the lows, as easy to say after the fact. Keep pushing ahead. Go for the next resume you send out, the next cover letter, the next demo of your radio show, the next demo of your TV segment for sports. Keep sending out. When I pretty much like Luzerne County Community College, I kept submitting resumes for it. The year before, they had put it up there trying to bring baseball back. Never heard back from them, and I was like, I guess they're not interested. I've been volunteering the last few years with my daughter's T-ball and coach pitch teams. After I volunteered at our alma mater here, the Marywood Pacers, for 4 years. for baseball, and I was just, maybe that's all it's going to be. I'll volunteer, and I'll still coach my little kids. My little son LJ is 4 years old. He's going to get to do beginners t-ball, and I get to coach him there. I'm excited for that. But then when I saw it pop up again on Indeed, on the website, I kept sending more resumes and cover letters, and this time all it took was the next time I put it out there and I submitted for it. That's when they called me back. I got the interview and I got the job. Same thing with Penn State Scranton. I originally applied for an assistant baseball coaching job. I wasn't the right fit at that time for that role, but then they're like, "Oh, we see here you cover sports and you've been writing for the Times Leader for a number of years for high school athletics. Maybe you want to help us cover the sporting events at Penn State Scranton." So it turned in from a coaching possibility where it then pivoted to sports writing. Yeah. And then with Times Leader, they were just looking for freelancers. They were looking for people who were willing to go out there, cover the high school games. High school football is gigantic in northeastern Pennsylvania, and I was the one who wanted to go for it. So I was like, I accept the opportunities, seize the moment, capture these opportunities because they're few and far between, and you never know when they're going to go away. So you got to just keep putting yourself out there. Like there's so many resumes and cover letters and things I've sent out for, and I get the standard vague response. Thank you for your time. We'll hold on to it for a year. We appreciate it. You're just not the right fit. And then, it's demoralizing. You feel like it's never going to happen. Yeah. And maybe I should just crawl in a gutter somewhere and just be by myself. But when you're at that lowest low, keep going on the job websites. Go on Indeed.com. Look for opportunities. Talk with your friends who might be in a similar field and submit for that job. Go for that job. And if that doesn't work, go for the next job. And one of these days, they're going to get back to you. And it's going to be the right fit. And then when you get that moment, the key is to not take it for granted and give it everything you have. And then you seize that moment and you prove to them why you deserve this moment and you've earned this moment and you're going to make them proud and you're going to, kick butt in your job. And that's what you do. You get that moment and then you have to crush it. So all you have to do is keep pushing and don't give up. And just like the great late Jim Valvano said, don't ever give up. Don't give up on anything in life. If you want it bad enough, keep trying, and eventually you're going to crack through.
Yeah, and great advice, and obviously coming from a great person and somebody who knows, and I can echo that. Right, when I came out of college, I sent out 41 to 43, sent it out to 41 stations, TV stations, 43 stations, and I just remember sending all that stuff out. I got one postcard back from a place in Connecticut that was like, "We're not looking right now, but thank you." And then I remember Joe Zone, who I think was in Syracuse, went out to Connecticut, and I think he went to that station. And, I had worked at Disney. I had worked on News Channel 9, our ABC affiliate. And I had, I was the first ever station manager at Marywood for back-to-back years. They had never let somebody do it twice. I was the first sports director in the history of Marywood. I started MU courtside. There were all these things, and I was like, I have all this stuff behind me. I feel like I have God-given talent, and everybody was like, thanks, but no thanks. And so, you go through that. I think in total, just applying to any and every job, in and out of the sports world, it was 91 applications. And you look back on those days and it's how did it even happen? Judy Hildebrand, I think it was Judy Hildebrand, that's one of our teachers at Marywood. I said to her, she's like, "Hey, I was thinking about this job and I don't know." And I was like, "No, call," she's like, "No, I work over at Time Shamrock Communications." And I thought, maybe you could work over there. I know you want to do radio. I don't really know. And I just remember going in there and speaking with my former boss, Jim. And, he said to me, he was like, "All right," I was telling him all this stuff. And he's like, "You don't have any sales experience. You didn't go to school for sales. You've had no work experience, professional work experience. Why should I hire you?" And I looked right at him and I said, "Jim, to be honest with you, I'm tired of hearing no." Yeah. I said, "You all ask for professional experience. But unless one of you gives us professional experience, I'm just going to keep bouncing.
You got to get the chance.
Right, I'm going to be bouncing. You got to get the person. What did you say?
So you got to get the first person's got to finally give you the chance, because that's the thing. You were saying all the things you did in college and all that. And a lot of these professional places will say, "But did you get paid for it? Is it professional experience?" You got to get that opportunity, whether it be an internship, paid internship, an actual job, entry-level job. someone has to be the first person to say yes and be brave enough to say yes. And without that, how are you ever going to break through and get that experience? So that's the most frustrating part when they tell you that. So you just need someone to believe in you enough to give you a yes, give you a chance, and then you either sink or swim. When you get that chance, you hopefully crush it.
Right. And that was the thing. I told him, I said, if all of you ask for experience, how are we supposed to get it? So one of you has to take a chance on us. And I told him flat out, I said, take a chance on me. Be the one person that said yes when everybody else said no. And if you're right, you look like a genius. You struck gold. If you're wrong, I said 6 months from now, I'll let you kick my butt right out of this building. And he looked at me and he was like, stop. Don't say anything else. Say that exact same thing to my boss, Mitch. And I went in there and I told Mitch, I was like, I'm tired of hearing no. You want experience. Everybody wants experience. We can't get experience. We're literally caught in this pigeonhole of we can't get experience unless somebody gives it to us. So I'm tired of hearing no. Be the person that says yes. I never got fired from that job. I remember seeing 11 people either get fired or leave in my time there. At one point, it was just me in one of the offices. Everybody else was gone. And we had a different GM. We had, like one of my bosses changed and the GM changed and then another person. And it's like all this stuff kept changing and moving around, but I was still there. And to look back on that, when I left that company, they said to me, like, are you sure you won't stay? We'll give you this. We'll give you that money. We'll give you an extra week. We'll put you in a hotel. We'll do this and that. And I was like, no. And it was because of when I gave my 2 weeks notice, they thought, okay, this guy's going to mail it in. He gave us 2 weeks notice during one of our biggest promotions we've ever done. He's just going to sit here and do nothing, and then he's going to leave. I raised $56,000 in 6 days. And one of the bosses grabbed me by the arm and he goes, hey, we see what you're doing. He's like, I know what you're doing. And I was like, excuse me? He goes, keep doing what you're doing. He's like, we're watching. He's like, most people would have given up. Most people would have just sat here. And I said, no, you don't burn a bridge. You don't burn a bridge at all. I was like, I worked my butt off here and I want a good recommendation letter. And the recommendation letter I got from the general manager was if Dan ever called me again, I would hire him without a hesitation. And so what I can tell people from my journey is if you love it, and I tell people this all the time, if you love it, you'll keep going. If you think you love it and you don't actually love it, you will stop. And I love it. I love it when people, I love it even when people are rude. I love it when there's unfair treatment. I love it when there's negativity. I love it through all of that. I love it through all the things that I've endured and the redheaded stepchild and why are you here type of thing. I've endured all of that. And I've heard no and I've said why. And I kept working, then I got a yes. So, going off of what you said, Ross, my best advice to someone is know who you are, know what you care about, know what you love, know your talent, hone your talent, work on your talent every single day. Only chase the things you love, not the things you think you love or the things you think you have to love, but chase the things you actually love. And I promise you, without doubt, people will degrade you, neglect you, put you down, try to get you to fail constantly. And I want you to know that people only try to make people fail, that they are terrified of succeeding. So keep succeeding. Keep going. And, like Drake says, there's not a lot of friends in the industry. So, my brother is picture in picture with me right now. There's very few friends in the industry that we're in. But, the more you work, the harder you work, the more you go after, the more you want for yourself, the more money you make, the more connections you make, the more interviews you do, the more places you travel to, people will hate your guts. And if I've learned anything in life, that doesn't matter. And it's only a reflection of those people, not you. And it also is a reflection of the fact that when you're out there being successful, a lot of people have a problem with that. But like I said to my buddy last night, I'm not in this interview room to listen to you ask questions. I'm here to do my job. And And I'm not a mean person. I don't like yelling over someone, shouting over someone. I've been to Jets camp, everybody's screaming over the other person and stuff, and I was like, ew, I don't like this stuff. But when you want what you want and you go after what you go after, you hope that people can see your heart and you hope that people can see why you do what you do. But the reality of it all is, when you're chasing your dreams, you're gonna make really incredible bonds, and you're gonna form a billion enemies because people hate seeing other people succeed sometimes, and that's not your problem.
Gotta have thick skin, especially in that industry that you're in. That people are gonna be pick on you or maybe belittle you, and a lot of it is insecurities and jealousy, and they don't want to see other people succeed. They want the clicks on their social media accounts. They want the likes. They want the attention. Even if they use your stuff, your questions. I've seen that before with your stuff, with Syracuse Athletics and other things you've covered, where people will use your questions and responses from the people you're interviewing and not give you any credit for it. They want to use your stuff and utilize it, but they don't want you to get any of the notoriety for it. They want to get all the attention because in the end, it's their ego. They want to become, I guess, more popular, get the extra money, and feel like they need to better themselves by bringing you down or ignoring you. So that's probably one of the most frustrating things, and you're going to have to put up with some of that. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself respectfully without making too many enemies or causing a scene or anything, but you're going to have to fight through that and keep pushing through. And as I said earlier, you can't give up. There are going to be people who aren't going to want to see you succeed. They're going to want to see you fail. Don't give them satisfaction by just going home and not coming back the next day. Come back the very next day, ask the tough questions, and keep pushing through. You were saying even the other night, there's a few people who are like asking 4 or 5 questions. You're trying to squeeze your one question in, and they feel like you're being greedy about it. Like, I don't see how that's the case. I think that's just that they are in the world where it's all about me, and they don't care about anyone around them in that media room. So it's unfortunate some people are like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's ever going to change. So you're just going to have to keep being the great person that I know you are, buddy, and don't give up on your dreams. Keep on. Look at where your dreams have taken you so far, and it's only going to take you even further as you keep pushing on in this life.
Yeah, and I'm excited and really excited about things that are coming up. But it is, I mean, it's true, and it's not. I mean, I guess I never thought in my life that chasing my dreams, being respectful and kind to everybody, would get me in trouble. It's like when you're nice to everybody and you're chasing your dreams, and then it's like, oh, that person doesn't like me. Oh, that person screamed at me. Oh, that person swore at me. Oh, that person did this, and you're looking at it going like, we're total strangers. Like we don't even know each other. And
your dream is threatening their dream because they want to be like the biggest sports person in the world. They want to be like the next, like Dan Patrick, Scott Van Pelt. So somehow your dream is threatening their dream. So they need to crush your dream in order to achieve theirs in their insane warped mind.
well, I heard somebody say a long time ago. Well, actually, it wasn't that long ago. And they said, when you're wondering why, when you're a nice person, some people don't like you, you have to understand that your spirit is aggravating the demons that live inside of them. And that never left me. It's like your spirit is aggravating their demons. And so, I mean, if we could say anything to anybody out there, you're not in this world to please other people. You're not in this world to be quiet. You're in this world to chase what you want to chase and do the things you want to do and the things that matter to you. If you form enemies because you work hard, chase your dreams, have morals and values, believe in God, and try with every fiber of your being to live the life that you planned, understand, people don't... I mean, look at anybody who's made it in your mind. Drake goes and sits on an island for 3 days. There's a ton of rappers that are wishing that man failed because they want to be on the island that he's on. So, it's the reality of being a good person doesn't equal people will treat me nicely. And when you grow up like Ross and I did, that's the mentality. We're like, well, if we're nice to people, they'll be nice to us. We'll make a ton of friends. We won't ruffle any feathers. We'll have a great life just helping people smile. Being a good person and working hard sometimes means you get the opposite. And you get the hate, you get the negativity, you get the rage, you get the ridiculousness, you get the social media negativity. And the only thing I can tell you folks is you got to keep going. And you have to really learn God's voice so that when all these voices are speaking to you, you'll hear the only one that matters. And that's one of my prayers is God help me to hear your voice above the crowd. And I have heard it for so many years. And a lot of times it comes through the people that love you the most. And you're one of those people, Ross. I mean, you have spoken so many times to me where I'm like, that's God. Take that message, hone that, keep that in. And I appreciate it. I can't wait to see what you're going to do on the baseball field. But I want people to know this, and I thank everybody that's watching and listening around the world. I thank everyone that's connected to our social media, our YouTube channel, wakeupcalldt.com. Thank you. And to all of our shows. The guy that's picture in picture with me right now is someone who was my biggest cheerleader from the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. Outside of my parents, and also, and and Jerry Hart on campus, I got to give him credit too. Ross has been the biggest supporter. He has seen me through every chapter of my professional career. So I think that I just want people to know, like, if you have a friend like this guy in your life, count yourself as one of the most blessed people on the planet. If you have a friend like this guy, you literally don't need anything else when it comes to the fact that you can always go to someone who is always there and will always help you and always believes in you. Some people have Jiminy Cricket on their shoulder. I have two Jiminy Crickets. I have two consciences. I have what I say, and then it's echoed through Ross. And I just want to thank you for that. I know there's a lot of things that we're going to get into today, but I want to thank you for the fact that no matter what's gone on, good, bad, and indifferent, no matter how many things I've dealt with in life, no matter what they've been, professionally, personally, anything, you have always, always rooted for me, and you've been honest with me, and you taught me the difference between a yes man and someone who roots for you. You were never a yes man. You've never been a yes man. You've always just helped me to see and remember who I am and why I am and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I don't tell you this enough, but you constantly help me move forward. And I think that everyone, even Jesus had Simon. So I just appreciate everything that you bring to my life, because we all need that help sometimes, and you've always been there.
I appreciate it, buddy. I feel the same way. You're a brother from another mother, as they would say, and I appreciate your kindness and your support and being one of my biggest cheerleaders out there, even when I don't always believe in myself. And it's great to see how you've grown and how I've grown, and it'll be interesting to see how we continue to grow throughout the years. And I still believe you got so much great things in store for you, professionally and personally. I think one day you're gonna get married again, and I think you're gonna be a great dad. I still very much see that. I see how you treat my kids, and how you are around little ones, how you are with your puppy, and I think you're gonna be a great dad. So I think both personally and professionally, you got a lot of great things ahead of you. You're still a young man, and it's gonna be great to see you as the years go on. So. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to have my kids meet your future kids one day. I think that'll be a cool experience, and can't wait to see you be Daddy Dan the man. I want to see how you do it late at night, early in the morning when they're screaming, going, "Rah! Feed me!" I want to see you change the diapers and get time peed on, because if it's a boy, you don't change it quick enough, they pee on you. It's like a firing hose. It goes wee and sprays everywhere. So you gotta be quick, because that trigger, it goes off in a second.
Yeah.
So all the ups, downs, and different. If you have multiple kids, when they fight over each other, they're like, "Nah, I had that. No, it's mine. Mommy loves me better than you," and all that nonsense where they compete over each other. I want to see how you handle it. I think it'll be a struggle, but I think you will succeed by leaps and bounds. So I can't wait to see that one day.
Well, I appreciate that. I know that I'm going to play. I'm a practical joke player, so I know I'm going to do a lot of things. I'm going to get my kids involved because when my future wife figures out a prank, then I have to find a different angle. And so if she thinks she's figured me out and I get the kids involved, now she has no idea when it's coming. And so, we'll have some fun with that. Speaking of having fun, and thank you for that, buddy. I appreciate that because I told you a long time ago. You said I'm never going to get to be a dad, never going to marry anybody, and I said, yes, you are. I see it, and you're like, I don't believe it. And I said, you don't have to. I'll believe it for the both of us. And you've been married for many years now. You got to be in your wedding, and you got LJ and Lorelai, and so it all came to fruition. So you didn't believe me, and so in our fashion, I'm not going to believe you and see what happens. So
Yeah.
we got some
Gonna be excited stuff.
We got
you know it's gonna happen. One of these days, you doubt it, and then it's gonna happen. So be ready.
Well, I'll tell you that, and I'll try my best to be ready. I'll be ready. I'm not going to try my best. I'll be ready.
You're never ready until it actually happens.
Right.
And then when it happens, then it becomes a crap.
But what do they always tell you?
Crap storm.
What did you say?
I said then becomes you're not ready until it actually happens. Then it becomes like a crap storm. You're thrown into it like you're going to war, and you just gotta hope for the best and keep pushing and try to be better the next day. Because some days you're gonna feel like a failure. You're not a failure. You're just trying your best as a parent. Then you gotta push ahead, and the next day try to do a little bit better. That's all you can do at this point.
Yeah, that's there's no perfect process for sure. There's a lot of stuff we got to get into today, and I agree with you. I mean, you gotta fight the good fight. What do they say though? Get ready so you don't. If you're ready, you don't have to get ready. So you try to do your best to be ready, and take the lessons God gives you because He gives them to you for a reason. So with that being said, I was going to do this, and Greg ended up, I guess, doing some homework here for us and throw some things out. I was going to say to you, let's do some prop bets just for fun, and we got a whole list of them here. What Taylor Swift song will Tony Romo reference first?
Tony Romo. Well, he seems kind of obsessed with her. Like, he was down in the field when they won the AFC Championship game in Baltimore a couple weeks ago, and it seemed like even Taylor Swift's security team was freaked out by him. Like, he was a little bit weird for them. Like, he was too much he was being too much of a fanboy for their liking. Like, please back off a little bit, Tony Romo. If I had a guess, I'd probably say shake it off. One of the guys will say, "Oh, they're struggling. They're making a mistake. They got to shake that off." I think he'll do a little wink, wink to the audience.
That was the one I was gonna pick. So I'm gonna pick a different one for argument's sake here, and I'm gonna say that at some point maybe this is what's the first one he's gonna say, but I think at the end of the game, whoever loses, he'll be like, "Wow, they better get things right, or they're gonna have a cruel summer." So I am gonna put that one at the end.
Oh, there's another good one because there's clashes, football, mano bashing into each other. You could say, "Now we got some bad blood." They'll probably do that. That's another one I just
do some bad blood, or he could say, "You know what, guys." Pat Mahomes right now is looking at the defense of San Francisco, saying, "I knew you were trouble." Or he could let's say that Brock Purdy throws an interception, Pat Mahomes throws an interception, and he could say, "You know what? They're looking at their receiver right now who should have been right there. That was a good ball. It was thrown perfectly. It bobbled in his hands, went up in the air, and there was an interception, which you can't blame him." So essentially, he's looking at his guy saying, "Look what you made me do." So that's another one that I think we could say. And this is all in the moment, folks. This is being created as we speak. And so we got the next one up here. How many times will Swift be shown on TV over under 6.5? Oh, that is way too low. She's going to be on over. She is way over 6.5.
That's going to be the pregame show. It's going to be over 6.5 just before the game.
Yeah.
During the game, during Usher's halftime show, they're going to probably show her reaction shot the entire halftime show where she has nothing to do with. Usher, it's going to be like Usher in the little screen up top, and she's going to be on the big screen, her reaction. It's ridiculous. You're probably going to have at least 20 or more times you'll see her. At least.
Remember, when Travis Kelce scores a touchdown, they show Taylor. When Isaiah Pacheco scores a touchdown, they show Taylor. So I'm saying way over 6.5. Will Taylor be shown during the national anthem? Yes. There's no doubt in my mind she's going to be shown during the national anthem. Of course she is. Of course she is.
Much as they can, the directors and producers of the Super Bowl for CBS, they are going to show her, and it's not her fault necessarily. I wouldn't really blame it on her. I know she knows there's some attention, so it's not like, oh, woe is me, like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to be seen. But it's mainly on CBS and the NFL. They know that that's a big time ratings boost. That
Yeah.
even people who don't always watch the game, the Swiftie Nation, the Swifties, they will be tuning in just to watch it. The ticket prices for the games are going sky high. The ratings are going to be sky high because they're hoping to get demographics who watch this game who don't ever watch football.
Yeah.
So you're going to have the diehard football fan and then the person who just wants to see Taylor, even if it's just for a few minutes. So they're going to show her as much as possible. So the director is going to constantly say, cut to Taylor as much as possible. So unless she's hiding like in a room at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas that we don't know about, they're going to show her as many times as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree. So next one here that we have is, will she deliver her signature heart hands to Kelsey? Contingency. This is my contingency. If it's toward the end of the game and they're winning, she's going to go. And she might say, so there, I think we might get a little mouth I love you. So I think we'll see her heart hands. This is a quick one here, but do you agree?
Yeah, I think only in that situation. I don't think she normally would do that. Like, I think if anything, you'll have a better chance at seeing Travis Kelce do his little heart symbol if he scores a touchdown, because that seems to be his biggest thing that he does now. I think you're more likely to see Kelce do it than Taylor do it during the game.
Yeah, so I absolutely agree. So will Swift be shown hugging Kelsey's mom? Swift's going to be shown hugging everybody. And random strangers, people off the street. You know,
the bigger question: will Jason Kelce have a shirt or not have a shirt on, and will he be hugging everyone? Right. That's what I'd rather see. I want to see shirtless Jason Kelce going crazy like he did in Buffalo at the playoff game.
Why is that not a prop bet? I want to see Jason Kelce with his shirt off. They're in Vegas. I mean, he did it when it was like 1 degree outside in Buffalo. He's going to do it here. So yes, I believe. I'd
rather see him than Taylor. I'd rather see reaction shots of Jason Kelce throughout the game over Taylor. Like, you want Taylor Swift to be nonstop? I'd say you're getting it wrong, CBS. Cut to Jason Kelce. I think that's what football fans want to see.
Yeah, and I've said that before. I was like, who doesn't want to see a shirtless Jason Kelce? And during that Baltimore game, we did. So I think we're going to see him. Will there be a Swift Super Bowl commercial? Well, that's interesting because she may be in the new Deadpool movie, hence why she was with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and
Hugh Jackman
and the director of Deadpool as well as Hugh Jackman. I think she could end up in this movie as Dazzler. They've been talking about, but and Dazzler, which I totally forgot, but I was watching this movie last night because I'm watching the X-Men movies back to have a discussion on Superpowered Pop, which you guys should look out for. So I was watching the last one that was made, which was X-Men Dark Phoenix. And
terrible movie. Don't watch it. Don't waste your time.
But I watched it on the plane. But in the middle, during this movie, actually it's toward the earlier part of the movie, there's this girl and there's all this like stuff moving around and she's singing and it's one of the most horrible lip syncs I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's so slow that it's going on, but I'm like, oh my goodness, I totally forgot that they put her in that movie. That was Dazzler. So, and the other thing is Taylor Swift, one of her exes, what is it, Harry Styles? Is it Harry Styles? I think it's Harry Styles. He's, what's his face? He's the brother of Thanos, and she's Star Fox, and he showed up at the end of the Eternals. So I think with him being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, now she has to be in it. And maybe she'll sing Bad Blood there. But I do think Taylor's going to show up in a commercial, and it's going to be something like, seen enough of me? And then she pops a Pepsi or eats a Dorito or something like that. I think that's going to happen for sure.
I think it's more likely to happen that way than in the movie. She might have a sneak peek cameo in the new Deadpool movie, and we're going to see a trailer, from what I've heard, during the Super Bowl. But I don't think they would give that away during the Super Bowl commercials and everything. If anything, she'll either be in it or they'll reference her in like a silly like potato chip beer car commercial just to make like a joke about it without even probably showing her. It'll probably just be like a funny comedian like Kevin Hart or something, making a joke or something about her. I think that's more likely than they would give it away like a movie cameo. And I think there's probably a better chance you'll see her be referenced than they actually show her in a commercial.
Yeah. Kelsey receiving over under 69.5 yards. Now, he's one of the top receivers in yardage. I think he's the top tight end receiving getter in yardage in the postseason. So, will he have over under 69 points?
It'll be way over,
yeah, he's
because
be
that's
over.
that's their main target. He doesn't trust many receivers. If they even bother to activate Tony, who just drops the ball all the time and then claims he wasn't hurt, and they deactivate him for the championship game in Baltimore, and he's all angry, he just drops the ball all the time. He can't trust most of his receivers. Yep. The main guy he trusts, especially in a Super Bowl winner or go home situation, he's going to throw it to Kelsey as much as possible. Yep. So he should have probably about 100 yards or more during the game, way over that the mark you gave.
Yeah, and the thing is like, no, even though people are supposed to key on him, somehow he's open all the time. Kelsey, total receptions over under 7.5. I'm going to give him at least 8, so I'm going to say over.
Over. I'll go 11 or 12.
Here's one. What special guest or artist will perform with Usher at halftime? No one, because they've forgotten the importance of having the guest there. Remember when Rihanna did it? And Rihanna's like, she sampled her song with Jay-Z, and you're like, oh, Jay-Z's going to show up, and he didn't show up. And then Eminem was in the crowd, and Eminem didn't show up. Drake was in the crowd, and Drake didn't show up. But she did all these songs with Drake and Eminem. If you're going to do a song that's featuring somebody, do not do that at the Super Bowl, because as soon as we hear the song and we know who's featured on it, if they don't come out on stage, it's a letdown. So who's going to be out there with... What'd you say?
That's why for Usher, if they do Yeah, which you know they're going to do Yeah, you need Ludacris and Lil Jon. If it's My Boo, you need Alicia Keys. For some of his big classics, you need those people there, or else it's going to feel weird and hollow to not see those featured artists with them.
They're in Vegas. There's a bunch of people that have residency. Britney Spears has had residency there. Elton John, I believe. So he needs to be bringing... You got all these people in your backyard that you can just have drive over a few miles. He needs to have cameos. So I think maybe he'll throw in a little Britney, little resurrecting of Britney's career. I feel better about, he might get the Biebs out there, because remember, Bieber signed with him, so he could get the Biebs out, and I would love to see Luda, because I've seen Luda in 47 Fast and the Furious movies, but what I miss the most is the Ludacris, the rapper, and, you know, and as Luda said, there's a lot of things that Luda said, but there's a thing that Luda said about relationships and the type of girl he's looking for, and I Luda got it right. So I mean, I want to see a little bit of that Ludacris
and Little John. You gotta get Little John back too. I want to see that, and I know a lot of the R&B fans, you're gonna want to see a duet with Alicia Keys and Usher. My Boo, that was a classic song from like 2002. Yeah. It was like when I was I think a junior in high school. Get that back. The people who were in high school back then, like us, we're now almost 40 years old. That's nostalgia. That's classic old music for us. I know our kids are like, who the hell are these people? For us, that's what we want to see. So just like a couple of years ago when they had the Super Bowl in L.A., and you had Eminem and Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and all these big-time artists, and you had a very heavy-set 50 Cent, who I looked like he had like a gigantic like belly suit on or whatever. He kind of looked like Eddie Murphy and Eddie Professor out there. We want to see the classic artists that I know it's not really that old, but we are getting older, truth be told. And these are part of our youth. This was part of when we were teenagers. So it makes us feel young again or old, a little bit of both. But I want to see Usher with all those key artists that he performed with.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully Usher is open to it, because I feel like that's part of the show. I think part of being, and I understand, like, you get asked to do the Super Bowl halftime show, that's huge for you. But I think it's part of it to have that special, right? Because we're looking for the commercials. We're looking for, like, what's that thing that's going to come out of nowhere? And it's the same thing with the halftime show. Like, if I was doing the halftime show and I'm out there on stage and I'm singing and doing my music, you know, I've been singing since I was 3. So if I'm out there and I'm doing stuff, I would have so many plans of who's going to be out there with me. And I'd hit you with, like, all different elements of things. I would go to like I'd hit you with a little bit of Journey, then I'd hit you with a little bit of Luda, then I'd get a little bit of Kendrick Lamar. Then I mean, I would be talking to a bunch of different people saying like, "Hey man, I want Phil Collins to come in on this." Like I would do it in such a unique way that it's like I'm having fun with my friends. You know what I mean? It's like doing a comedy show, right? If I'm out doing a comedy show someday and I'm on a stage, and let's say I'm on the stage in St. Louis, I would call you up and be like, "Hey man, you want to open for me?" Like I would want my people to be there, and I tell people this all the time. At the end of the show, whatever you laughed at, when I'm on the bus with my guys after, that show is 10 times funnier than whatever you just laughed at, because that's all of us. And you and I do this. We go out there and we say this, but I've had people tell me, they're like, "We agree with what you say, but you're the crazy person that's actually going out in public and saying it. And I know that you understand that." So, it's like when Ross and I get together, it is absolutely ridiculous. And I look forward to that. So I would be doing that. I'd be like, "Ross, I'm gonna be out in St. Louis. I'm gonna be out in Philly. You want to come out and do some stuff before we open the show?" Because that to me is like after the because it's not even that. Like I'd be excited to see you out there, but after the show, and it's the same thing. I mean, look at Adam Sandler. Look at these people, and if you see the Mark Twain Award, and you actually watch, and you can watch it on YouTube, what he says and what the guys say. There's all these friends that he made, and he took care of everybody. He brought, he's like, he did stuff with Chris Rock. He did stuff with David Spade, with Rob Schneider, with Kevin James, and, Conan O'Brien was there. There was all these people that he built relationships with, and you just heard a really genuine love. Like they razzed each other, but then there was like this deep appreciation and love for each other. So when you do something big, you bring your people. You bring the people that are big to you, the people that matter to you. When someone goes, "Hey, Dan, you're good." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you have no idea. Like, my buddy Ross is awesome at this. Jason's doing this. Isaac's doing that. Rob's doing that. Johnny has that. Joe has this." And so, like you want people to see that. So to me, if I'm Ursha baby, then, for me, he needs to be getting out there and making this fun, because all I want to do during a halftime show is be watching and taking a sip and go and like almost spit up my drink and be like, "Oh," like I have to have that wow moment. I got to have that, "No, he didn't. How did he get him out there?" Because I remember, and I know it's, with everything going on now, whatever. But with Diddy, like they were doing something for New Year's, and they did More Money, More Problems. And Diddy came out, and I was like, "Please, please, God, please. Please, oh, please." And then Mace came out, and Mace was doing his thing, and he's out here, and I was just like, I remember standing in my theater room with my jaw on the floor going like, I'm not going to blink this whole time because I never thought I'd see this again. That's what I want in a halftime show. I want Usher to just bring the wow, get his friends together, and just go out there and kill it.
And then the ultimate, which I don't think will happen because she'll be there cheering on her guy, and she also is going back and forth, jet lag from Japan, where her Eras tour is, back to Vegas, back to Japan for a concert. If he somehow got Taylor Swift to sing a song with him, can you imagine how crazy the internet would go? He'd probably break the internet right then and there. If Usher collaborated on the fly, secretly, without you knowing, till you saw it live right there on TV. Imagine if he got Taylor Swift to do one song with him. How big that would blow up. So that'd be interesting. I don't see that happening, but it would be kind of interesting to see. She totally takes over the Super Bowl then. She's there for her guy. She announced her new album. She just won Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards. Can you imagine if he somehow got Taylor to join in? But I would even like the Tracy Chapman, Luke Combs Fast Car duet that we saw at the Grammys. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And then Joni Mitchell at 80 years old, with all the things she's overcome, health-wise especially. So her performing at the Grammys was cool. And then Billy Joel, you somehow got him involved. Billy Joel has a new song, first time in 30 years. He did a great job with the Grammys. So that's what I like about the Grammy Awards. You never know who's going to collaborate with who. And it's just a fun concert. It's one of my favorite award show because, like, the Oscars can be really stuffy and long. and all they do is like show you clips of a movie. The
Yeah.
Grammys, it's actually like a fun concert where they hand out some awards too. It's more about the actual music and the live concert than it is the award. So it'd be cool if you can collaborate and have some sneak peeks and people that you have no idea until we see it right there live. So I'm hoping it's a fun show. My wife and I have been looking forward to it ever since we heard Usher is going to be the guy. He could do a few songs on his own, show off his dance moves. I know he has a new song on the radio I've heard recently, Usher. But it would also be great if he brought some of his favorites with him, too, to perform.
And we also know that Usher can dance. So
yeah.
Look forward to that. And, it'd be really cool is if he's like, you remind me of a girl. And then he turns and looks at the thing, and it's Taylor. And you know what I mean? Like that. That would be cool. Hey, listen, and the thing is, somebody said here on the feed, they said, Tony Romo's a giant Swiftie. Of course he is, because Tony Romo had Jessica Simpson, and people drove him nuts over it, so he understands the life of all of this stuff. We got to get to a couple things here really quick, because I know you got to hop out here. So we got to jump to, we had a question about your baseball team. How many players do you currently have on the roster?
Right now we got a few more at the Welcome Back Bash yesterday at the college. We have 14 players on the roster currently. We're trying to get a few more, but we are good to go. We're ready to play. We're practicing. We have another practice tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Anyone who's interested, there's the website, Luzerne County Community College. Just Google that. There's a sports interest form. Sign that, put your email and phone number. We'll get right back to you, and you can instantly play. As long as you have 12 credits, full-time student, 2.0 GPA, which is pretty much a C average at least, you're eligible to play. And then it's one of those schools where a lot of schools you'd be at best maybe fourth string if you come in. You'd have to really work hard to get a spot. You'll have a guaranteed opportunity to play from day one. You'll have a chance to play right away. If you show us what you have, you'll have a chance to play. And plus, it's the most affordable tuition in our entire area. So if you want affordable education, lots of degrees, whether it be academic or there's also like trades you could learn, welding and stuff like that, and you can play baseball right away. It's a fun and competitive environment. We're going to play schools in the Philly area, New Jersey area. I think there's even a school in Delaware we're going to be playing, so there's going to be a lot of cool things. We're even going to get to face a local powerhouse, Lackawanna College, who just made the Junior College World Series last year. So a chance to really get your name out there and get college baseball experience, and then after your 2 years of eligibility is up, because it's junior college, you get a great letter recommendation from me, and you have stats and video of what you've done where you can move on to the next school for the 4-year degree and finish with your last 2 years of balling out and playing baseball. So come all to Luzerne County Community College, a great place to go to school and live. And the main campus is in Nanticoke. They have little campuses in Scranton by the mall in downtown that you saw on the TV show The Office, in Wilkes-Barre, Pittston. They're all over the area. The main campus where we play our home games is in Nanticoke. But you can go to any of the satellite schools, go online classes. As long as you have at least 12 credits, you're a full-time student, you can play baseball with us, and we very much welcome you to join the Trailblazers, just like our Merriwood Pacers. It's another horsey mascot, so I say, nah!
That coming from Ross Turetsky, and awesome, and I appreciate that. Please go out and support Luzerne County Community College Baseball, LCCC. And make sure you go and support Ross and the entire team. Quick here, Ross, going down the line. I gave my awards on Monday. I would love to get yours. Brendan and I threw ours in here. Who is we're going to just quick rapid fire this thing because we've got to make our pick and make a note here on the NCAA. Comeback Player of the Year.
Comeback player, I think it should be Joe Flacco, but I think the sentiment, because he almost died out there, is going to be DeMar Hamlin. I know he barely played. I think DeMar Hamlin's going to get it, even though Joe Flacco deserves it. So I'll go with DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah, I went with Baker Mayfield because he totally resurrected his career. I do understand if they go DeMar Hamlin, who came back from the dead, literally, and then decided to play on the field again, which is so happy for him and a beautiful thing.
One day I believe they're going to probably make a movie about that. It's too much there that he overcame so much and that he almost died there. I can imagine that being a dramatic movie one day, so wait for that. I'm sure Disney or some movie studio is going to get behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. And happy to see him on the field doing what he loves and not being afraid. Like we told you, don't be afraid. This man almost died, and he went back on the field. So that shows you that he loves it versus he thinks he loves it. Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive player. I'm trying to think of the guys because the MVP is going to be Lamar Jackson. I'm pretty confident in that. I'm trying to think.
I will tell you that here is the ballot here for offensive player of the year. For those of you that want to know what's going on here, the awards are going to be coming up tonight, so that's why we're hitting this really quick here. The offensive player of the year options are, once again,
Christian McCaffrey should be there.
Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Tyreek Hill.
If I had to go with that, I'm actually going to go with Christian McCaffrey. I'll go with that. I think Lamar Jackson wins MVP, but I think Christian McCaffrey, with how great of a season he had, and Tyreek Hill has a chance. Even though he got hurt late in the year, he had a big time season. Almost had 2,000 yards receiving. But I'll go with Christian McCaffrey.
All right, fair enough. We got the MVP Lamar Jackson in your mind. I also went with those two picks: CMC for Offensive Player of the Year and MVP Lamar Jackson, Defensive Player of the Year. This is a tough one, and all these polls, by the way, are up on X at CallDT.
Not a tough one, buddy.
CALLDT. Go on to X, vote in our polls, because I put these questions up for you guys, and thank you to everybody that's voted. We put every one of these awards up here, so make sure you vote. Deron Bland, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, TJ Watt. I had Micah Parsons and TJ Watt going up for this. TJ, arguably the last 3 years, can be the Defensive Player of the Year, and Micah Parsons is just absolutely insane. So I'm guessing you picked TJ Watt.
Mike is a great player, but at times I feel like he's an underachiever with some of the things he does out there, because when they run the ball down the Cowboys' throats, even when Dan Quinn was there, now he's going to be the Washington Commanders' new head coach, he's kind of taken out of the game when he can't just rush the passer. He's an amazing talent, like kind of a new age young Lawrence Taylor. But I feel like consistency, rushing the passer, what he does year after year, and he's only won it once 2 years ago. TJ Watt is going to easily win this award. He's going to be the second time Defensive Player of the Year award. His brother, JJ Watt, won it 3 times. He's deserved it many times where he hasn't won it and finished runner-up. I think TJ Watt is going to get it done. He's the engine that he's the kind of revs that engine for the Steelers defense. It's going to be TJ.
And Lil John would go, TJ, what? What? Yeah! So, I mean,
I just think of the Dave Chappelle sketch where he tried to be Lil John. He's like, what?
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, hello, madam. How are you today? So let's go into the Offensive Rookie of the Year quick here. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, 2 guys from Detroit, Puka Nacua, what up with it, B.J. Robinson, or C.J. Stroud. I think it's either C.J. Stroud or Puka Nacua. What do you got?
I agree. It's either one of those two, and I think in a regular year, it would go to Puka. Amazing talent, kind of like a young star power, kind of like Cooper Kupp in a way. His own teammate, who was an older player on the Rams, had an amazing rookie season. But I think in the NFL, it's all about the quarterback. They're going to go with C.J. Stroud. Joining a Texans team with a rookie coach, DeMeco Ryans, a team that was supposed to be garbage. Great season, amazing rookie season where he played wise beyond his years, and he's going to get the nod here. He revived the Texans team that after the whole Deshaun Watson debacle was left for dead. They were a garbage franchise, and now they're coming up. They even won a playoff game, so it's going to be C.J. Stroud over Puka, who I think would finish second place in my voting.
Yeah, I think it's C.J. Stroud because the team's way ahead of schedule, and he helped that team get to the playoffs after I think a lot of people thought that they were in the basement of the NFL. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Will Anderson Jr., who was the pick right after C.J. Stroud, also went with the Texans in a trade with the Cardinals to get the 3rd overall pick, so he's up for it. Jalen Carter of the Philadelphia Eagles, Joey Porter of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kobe Turner of the Rams, he's a little sleeper dark horse in my opinion. And online on X, you've been voting for Devin Weatherspoon a lot, guys. What do you have, Ross?
I know my wife would want to go with the Joey Porter Jr. She's a diehard Steeler fan. It's a tough one. What was the name of the first guy? I'm trying to remember what the first guy you put.
Will Anderson Jr., Jalen Carter, Joey Porter, Kobe Turner, and Devin Weatherspoon.
I'm going to go with Weatherspoon. I just think he had a very solid season. There was a lot of guys who had a lot of buzz going in. I thought he had a lot of potential. He still does, but it was a little disappointing late in the year when the Eagles collapsed. Jalen Carter, I think, halfway through the year was going to win this award, but he fell off. And the Eagles, of course, fell off big time. So hopefully Vic Fangio, the new defensive coordinator, can fix that. But I'll go with Weatherspoon there.
I went with Kobe Turner because 3 of these guys were drafted in the top 10. He's a 3rd-round pick, and he led the entire country for rookies in the NFL in sacks with 9 this year. So I went with the dark horse Kobe Turner from the Rams. Coach of the Year, Dan Campbell, John Harbababa, D'Amico Ryans, Kyle Shamalama Ding Dong Hanahan, and or Kevin Stefanski, the Cleveland Browns. Remember how the Cleveland Browns had all these coaches that were winning 1-0 games a year? And Kevin Stefanski is now up for Coach of the Year. So here's the question. I think this is the question. Is it D'Amico Ryans or Dan Campbell?
I actually think it's Dan Campbell did a great job, and it's not just about biting legs off like his introductory press conference. They had an amazing season. He does gamble too much on fourth downs, and sometimes that comes back to bite you. It happened, even though they messed up the call in the Cowboys game late in the season, and then they end up getting knocked out by the 49ers, where if they take some of those field goals, they probably win that game. Yeah. Dan Campbell did a great job. The Lions are doing great, but I think in straight up just regular season, because it's a regular season war, not playoffs, I think it's actually between Kevin Stefanski and D'Amico Ryans. Kevin Stefanski and the Browns looked like they were left for dead when Deshaun Watson went out during the season with only like maybe 7-8 games to go. And then they had to basically pick up Joe Flacco, who's sitting on his couch hanging out with his kids, just being an average Joe dad. They got him, and he revitalized his career. Joe Flacco played amazing. If he comes back to Cleveland, who's actually the quarterback? Does Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson have to compete for it? Deshaun Watson has a lot of guaranteed money that they have to pay him, and they're going to pay him every ounce of that money, even if he's banged up and injured. So for what it looked like when Deshaun Watson went out, it looked like Cleveland was left for dead. For him to revitalize Joe Flacco's career where he was not playing at all and just hanging out on the couch with his kids, and to have a great regular season. We're actually favored to beat the Texans that playoff game. I know that doesn't count to the award. I would give Kevin Stefanski a great chance, but in the end, as much as I said that, I'm still going with D'Amico Ryans. Because D'Amico Ryans, never mind that he beat him in the playoff game, beat Cleveland, D'Amico Ryans, just like C.J. Stroud, was on a franchise that was left for dead. They were supposed to be garbage for years to come, especially after the whole Deshaun Watson debacle. They draft C.J. Stroud. He's a great defensive mind, D'Amico Ryans, just like he was when he was a player on the Houston Texans. And I think he brought that to a franchise up. He made them believe in themselves. And I really see the Texans as a threat for years to come, as long as D'Amico Ryans and C.J. Stroud are connected. So for everything he's done and brought the hopes of that franchise and city back in the NFL, I'm going to go with D'Amico Ryans there with the Texans.
I went for the animal, Dan Campbell. Even though I thought about D'Amico Ryans, I mean, there was really Dan was my pick, but D'Amico is like he's right there. And I think
what do you think about the Cleveland coach, though?
Stefanski. I mean, listen, nobody else has gone. Nobody else. I don't remember a time in the history of the NFL where a head coach had 4 different quarterbacks, won double-digit games, and went to the postseason. So,
impressive.
It is. It's just, Dan Campbell, first playoff win in 31 years. I was 7 the last time the Lions did it. And I know that doesn't factor into it, but like getting to the postseason and winning, I mean, just getting there. I picked them to win the division. They won the division. There's just a lot to be said about that.
Just stop going for it on fourth down every time. I know you're showing that you have confidence in your team, but it will cost you eventually, and it did in that playoff game. They should be in the Super Bowl right now. It should be a battle of Eminem and Taylor Swift right now. Lions' first ever Super Bowl appearance versus the Chiefs. That's what I wanted to see, and because they fell apart and collapsed, kept going fourth down. That's not what we're going to see. Maybe Eminem also put a curse on him because he gave 49er fans the bird because he was at San Francisco for that game. He was getting a little cocky in the first half when they were up by 17, and in the end he went home crying and they didn't get it done. But the 49ers, great comeback, but the Lions should have won the game. They should be playing this Sunday in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they should be, and it's unfortunate that they're not. It's very sad. I know my buddy Johnny's not happy about it. Give me your last 2 notes here, your pick for the Super Bowl. Who is your winner? Give me a score, Chiefs and Niners. What do you got?
This is a rematch in the Super Bowl from 4 years ago, right before all the COVID craziness happened, because this was in February 2020. A month later, our whole world had changed.
Don't get any ideas, government. No COVID after this Super Bowl, okay?
And it was also an election year, so it was a crazy 2020. We lost Kobe Bryant. We had Australian wildfires. 2020 was just a complete disaster for the most part. Besides, I love that my son was born in January, but a couple months later in 2020, the whole world turned to garbage right after the Super Bowl. So hopefully that's not the case in 2024. I think this is going to be a heck of a Super Bowl. The thing that still gnaws at me is that as much as they found a way to win these games, the 49ers, Brock Purdy and the 49ers, especially offensively and even defensively a little bit early on in these first halves, they've looked shaky. They should have lost to Jordan Love and the Packers. They were getting dominated for a lot of that game. They should have definitely lost to the Lions. They were getting dominated in that game for the first half. Brock Purdy at times where it was a little slippery with the ball in the first playoff game against the Packers, he was like wiping his hand off. It was wet. It's like he has these little hands. And I know he was Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft. He's a big believer in faith. That really, he says, has helped propel him to believe in himself when no one believed in him that he could be this Super Bowl quarterback in just year two. And they might have made it last year against the Eagles if he didn't get hurt. They lost all their quarterbacks in that championship game. I love Brock Purdy. I don't think he's just a game manager, but I don't necessarily believe in him in this tough of a spot. First time ever in a Super Bowl. He's going to be nervous. He has struggled in the first two playoff games. The Chiefs, as you said earlier, I don't think that they're quite a dynasty yet. If they win on Sunday, then they're officially a dynasty because then they've won 3 Super Bowls. They've been to 4 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. And then also to have a dynasty, to win 3, not just to win 2 is big, and to win back-to-back Super Bowls, which has not happened in 20 years since Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and the Patriots did it in 2003 and 2004. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs here, but I think it's a close game. I think the 49ers, they struggle in the first half because of the bright lights. I think Brock Purdy struggles. Then they pick it up like they have been in the previous 2 playoff games. They make it close in the second half, but I think in the end it's too much Chiefs. I think Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, they know how to win these games. It's going to be a close game. The defense has played surprisingly well under Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, and they're not going to be scared by the bright lights of the Super Bowl. They've been there, done that. Yeah. And this is about legacy right now. To become an official dynasty, they need to win this game on Sunday. So I'm going to say the Chiefs have an early lead by like 10 points. 49ers close that deficit in the second half. Chiefs hold on for dear life. They win 23-20 to win the Super Bowl. Back-to-back champions. They win 3 Super Bowls in this run, and they really cement they're the new dynasty since the New England Patriots dynasty ended a few years back. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs win 23-20 in a very exciting Super Bowl that's going to go down to the wire. 49ers comeback falls just short, and in the end, whether he has an amazing game or just does enough, I'm going to go with the MVP. They're going to go with Pat Mahomes. Or a possibility, Travis Kelce. Everyone jokes that the NFL is like all totally scripted, and I know one of my friends was talking about how they believe never mind that the Chiefs are going to win. That when Taylor Swift goes down the field like they did it after they won the AFC Championship game in Baltimore, that Kelce's going to propose to her. That's another prop bet that he's going to propose to her and win the league, win the MVP, win the Super Bowl, propose to her, they get engaged, and it's going to be like a fairy tale. I'm going to Disneyland situation. So Travis Kelce, I think, has a slight chance to win it, but in the end, I still think it's a quarterback's league. They're going to go with the quarterback. I think Pat Mahomes, just like Tom Brady usually won the MVP, will win Super Bowl MVP. Only close substitute. I think the only other person who can win it, because he's their main offensive guy who's going to catch most of the passes, would be Travis Kelce and the whole Taylor Swift thing. We'll see. I don't necessarily know if they'll get engaged, but wouldn't that be a Cinderella moment, storybook ending? I think it's going to be Chiefs 23-20 over the 49ers, and Pat Mahomes wins the MVP and their official dynasty. That's my pick.
Yeah, that's Ross's pick here. And the last thing here, Ross, what do you think about it? The fact that a court is trying to rule that student athletes are employees. If student athletes become employees, they can unionize. If they can unionize, they can also be fired as employees. And you can also go and get another employee. When you fire one, you can go get one in the middle of the season. So I think student athletes, they want to make money. They want to be treated. They want to make money. They want to be able to do whatever they want to do. They want to be able to have no rules and live the life they want to live. But what they forget is, and we talked about this, them running toward being employees, they might think is great. But the one thing that they're not thinking about is that you can be fired as an employee. So they bring you in, and you get $1 million from this, that, and whatever in the collective, and then 3 games in, they go, wow, we saw a lot on film, but you're not a really good quarterback. So we're going to take the $1 million back. We're going to take your scholarship away, and you're 18 years old, and now you don't have a job. You don't have a school. You don't have free education. You don't have $1 million, and you're back in your neighborhood because 3 games in, we decided we don't think you're that good. So the NCAA, I know this is for another day because it's a deeper conversation, But let's rock with it for a second here, Ross. Student athletes as employees? I don't think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't necessarily would consider them an employee. I think they deserve to get paid. And whether it's, the money they're allowed to make now from businesses and endorsements and for their name sake, I know they're bringing back college video games, college sports video games, which before they were using the likeness of the guy, wink, wink. But then they're like, no, it's not the exact star player, so they don't have to pay him. Back in the day, like a Matt Leinart or Reggie Bush and all that, and a lot of stuff that Reggie Bush got in trouble for, he really deserves to get his Heisman Trophy back, would be totally kosher now. So no, I don't. I wouldn't want to consider them employees. I still like the wholesomeness of student athletes, but I also get their point of view that coaches can come and leave whenever they want. Their contract, they're able to easily buy out of it, especially with boosters paying it. But it's also become the wild, wild west where people now, these big time colleges, these boosters are offering tons of money with all the money that's allowed to be given now with the NAIL deals, and then also the transfer portal. It's pretty much like free agency for NFL, but you can now just pretty much every year kind of beg for your players to come back, because every year it seems like even if the guy did really well, the guy just leaves. Like Ohio State, who's now the quarterback of the Syracuse Orange. I had no idea that he would. I know people were picking on him because they were losing to Michigan the last 3 years. But I had no idea that he was. I thought he had a solid season. He lost to Michigan at the end of the year in a close game, and then all of a sudden I'm like, he's in the transfer portal. I'm like, guys who were playing pretty well for their school. Like, it makes sense if you weren't playing much. Like, if Arch Manning wanted to possibly leave because he's not playing and the Texas quarterback's coming back for another year, I could see him getting fed up with it and trying to leave to go elsewhere so you can play. But if you're playing at a high level at your school, has a chance to win a national title, and now it's expanded to 12-team college football playoff, I'm surprised when some of these guys just leave. They're like, oh, I don't like the negative attention, or I think this offense better suits me to get a better look in the NFL as a better pro prospect. So it's become a wild, wild west where the money, you have no idea where all this money's coming from. The big-time schools and boosters can offer millions and millions of dollars more than the average little school. And then the transfer portal, you're pretty much every year you're trying to steal players from other teams. You're begging guys to come back. I just read a report where they're looking into a possibility with the new Alabama coach who's taking over for Nick Saban, which I'm not surprised at all that Nick Saban now is going to go back into broadcasting, work for ESPN, cover college sports. I think that'll be a great hire. But there's a possibility that they maybe try to illegally steal a quarterback or player away who was not in the transfer portal, but maybe illegally contacted them. I read that report. It's a possibility. They're looking into it. So it's become too much of a Wild Wild West show. And you're talking about if they're employees, they can be fired, they can be let go. I get they want health insurance, they want benefits, they want to make sure they're taken care of. Something, God forbid, happens to them, they get injured in something in such a violent sport. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a set of standards that someone needs to be in charge. And right now, I don't see someone really being the big boy and stepping up, a committee who really can tackle this issue. There's got to be some former players on the committee. There's got to be coaches on the committee, administrative, athletic director, ADs need to be on this committee. There has to be a better way. There has to be a better way of a transfer portal where people can't just leave every 2 seconds. And I think the same thing for coaches. Needs to be a better way where they're not leaving every 2 seconds. There's got to be more of a commitment. Yeah. And then with the NIL money, there's got to be more transparency. Where's the money coming from? And probably where do you cap the money? Because either the school needs to pay them directly a certain amount that's allowed, like a salary cap, you can pay up to this much. But if you're not going to do that and you're going to keep NIL, there's got to probably be a cap on that, because then like a school like Texas Longhorns can pay way more than a tiny small school that's barely Division I. That's not fair. They're supposedly on the same playing field in the NCAA. It's not the same playing field where big boosters or Matthew McConaughey, a big movie star who loves the University of Texas, can pay a player whatever he wants, and that's okay. So there has to be a way where you can cap the money where it's somewhat fair for the other schools to compete. And the transfer portal needs to be corrected I think, for both coaches and players. There has to be more of a commitment to your institution, because I know the players get annoyed because coaches don't commit. Coaches get annoyed because players don't commit. Both sides need to show more of a commitment and not just jumping every 2 seconds. So we need to have a committee with all the groups represented, and there has to be a way to cap the money for what these guys can make for coaches and players involved, where it's not just a spending spree. Whoever's the richest has the best team, and that's not fair.
Yeah, and it's a lot. And we're in year 6 now. I said 6 years ago, in the next 5
the end of the NCAA.
Yeah, I I said in the next 5 to 10 years, the NCAA will the NCAA that we know will either look totally different if it exists at all. It won't be the NCAA that we've known if it even exists. I said that 6 years ago. I said 5 to 10 years from now, the NCAA will not be the same if it even exists. And they have proven me right. And I did not want to be right about this, but the NCAA has completely lost its mind. By the way, before we let you go, Ross, I want to wish a very happy 16th birthday to Brock Purdy today. And, I mean, that man, he looks like he hasn't gone to prom yet. He got the baby face. He's just like this like little kid, man. And it's like, he
could be in a Disney Channel movie. Yeah. Definitely. He looks like he could be in a high school movie.
He would be the youngest player to win the Super Bowl at the age of 16 3/4. I mean, this is a beautiful thing that we could see here. So a lot of great stuff coming up. I will be making my pick tomorrow on the show. I'm going to be
rounding... Have the courage. We want to hear it now. We don't want to wait till tomorrow.
Oh, no, we're making you wait. I'm Ryan Seacresting this whole thing. So I will
I will be back after this with the results.
Yeah, it's like, and I will give you my pick tomorrow. So I mean, we're going to be doing the pick tomorrow. I'm going to do it at the end of the broadcast tomorrow morning. So
you're going to make them even wait till the end of the broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
Even more
Oh, yeah.
You better bring it with this pick. You're making them wait, anxiously waiting. You better bring it with this.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And if I hear one more person...
Go with the New York Jets. The Jets, even though they're in the conference, Jets and Jaguars, Super Bowl. Let's see it happen.
I would love it. I am so sick and tired, by the way, too, of people doing this thing. And this happened last night again. But people coming up to me and saying, you need to get rid of Trevor Lawrence. And I'm like, you guys are on way too many drugs, okay? The fact that
I want Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Because if they didn't screw it up and won like an extra game late in that season a few years ago, Trevor Lawrence would be a New York Jet right now. And we wouldn't have to rely on a 40-year-old quarterback who has crazy conspiracy theories and is on like weird psychedelics sometimes, allegedly. And Aaron Rodgers, you don't know if he's going to be healthy or not this season. I'd rather have a quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years like Trevor Lawrence. I would do anything. I'd give you my right arm just so Trevor Lawrence could be a Jet. I think you're in a much better situation as a Jaguar fan than as a Jet fan because you have a quarterback for years to come. And my quarterback, at best, has 1 to 2 years left, and he's going to say crazy stuff. And you have no idea what's gonna happen with Aaron Rodgers. Trevor Lawrence sets you up for a much better future.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of things to say about it. We're going to say in an hour or two when Papa Joe joins us here. Trevor Lawrence is just not the problem. So with that being said, for Ross Turetsky and myself, Dan Tortora, we're going to take a step aside on Wake Up Call. Ross is going to continue to do the incredible work that he has done as a sports broadcaster as well as a writer and the head coach of the Luzerne County Community College baseball team and the Trailblazers. Ross, as always, thank you for everything. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise, your comedy. I never like saying goodbye, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to instead say, see you later. I look forward to talking with you soon, and I cannot wait for the fans to see when you and I get called out during the halftime show by Usher because they don't know what we know. So I'm excited about that.
Shake it off, because now we got bad blood. But now we got mad love. I don't know the rest of the words, but I have to listen to it every night. My daughter listens to these 6 Taylor Swift songs on her Alexa every night, and that's why I have to sit in her room until those songs are completed. So get your Taylor Swift music. Get ready to have lots of fun drinking games safely at your home because you can get very dangerously drunk every time they show her on camera. Yeah. She'll be in the Super Bowl a lot. I hope it's a great Super Bowl Sunday with friends and family, lots of tasty snacks. Big time eating holiday with all the chicken wings and the pizzas. Have a great, happy, fun, safe time. Go Chiefs, go 49ers, go football, because after this, we don't have football for a while. I know we have NFL draft and free agency soon. And we have the UFL, the United Football League, XFL, and USFL. That's coming March 30th, but it's minor league football. It's not the same. I am excited that Major League Baseball is going to be back 7 weeks from today. It's not a lie. 49 more days. Opening day, pitchers and catchers. Report on Valentine's Day in 6 days. And don't procrastinate on Valentine's Day for your loved ones. Get them their stuff now so you're not in big trouble in the doghouse come February 14th. So baseball will be back as soon as football's over, but you got to enjoy football here because after Sunday's Super Bowl, we don't have real football for quite a while. So Have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Be safe. Have a great time, everyone. And thanks for having me on your show, buddy. And take two, call me in the morning. It's not the tuba. Jamie. Bye-bye.
See you, buddy. I appreciate it so much as always, and best of luck we got from our listeners here on your upcoming season. I look forward to talking with you soon. And, I think Ross finally won because I cannot wait until baseball season. So a lot of great stuff coming up. And I'm ready. I'm so ready. I was ready the day after Game 5. So I look forward to what's to come. I appreciate it as always. I love you, buddy. And I'll talk with you soon.
Talk to you soon. Go Diamondbacks. Go Yankees.
Take care.
Hi, this is 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground,
because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying. In the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I'm excited. I'm always excited to have the opportunity to bring this to you. And I thank you so much for all that you have done to connect with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. However you're connecting with us, where sports meets life on youtube.com, facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So, however you're a part of the show, thank you for being with us, including on our social media, which, of course, you can find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. We got a lot of stuff to get to, and we gave Papa Joe some time this morning. He's healing up. He's getting better, and we're always hoping the best for PJ. Mary T doing her thing as well, being the absolute saint that she is. I can tell you this. We need Mary T to live to be 150. And after that, I am confident that God has got a bungalow ready for her with grapes and wine and putting her feet up and plenty of pillows, because she has been an absolute saint to so many of us, and we appreciate her so very much. So, so a lot of great stuff with PJ and MT. Happy to have Papa Joe here with us. We're going to be talking about the 49ers and the Chiefs with PJ. He's going to give his picks for the NFL awards, and of course, which is going to be happening tonight, folks. And you know that I gave mine on Monday. Brendan Murphy as well during DT and Murphy. This start off your week on Wake Up Call. Ross just gave his picks. PJ will give his. We'll jump into the Super Bowl as well as speaking on this very strange situation with the NCAA continuing to lose control. If they haven't lost enough, they're about to lose whatever's left, potentially. And I really don't hope that that's going to happen, but it looks like it's going to happen. And again, folks, I told you 6 years ago on this show, on Wake Up Call, 6 years ago, I came on the air and I said, 5 to 10 years from now, the NCAA, if it exists, will be drastically different. If it's even here anymore. I said the NCAA is going to be different than what we remember it 5 to 10 years from now, if it even exists.
And now, 6 years into that prediction of 5 to 10 years, the NCAA looks like a shell of itself. It looks like it's on the cliff of falling off and not existing. And PJ, we're going to start there. What are your thoughts on the fact that the NCAA continuously looks like they have no control? It looks like there's no plan. We have had NIL with little to no rules. We've had the transfer portal with little to no rules. We've had this free agency that's come from it. We've had all these things that used to be illegal that are now okay and legal at this point. We've had tampering of student athletes, coaches reaching out to student athletes and during the season telling them to go into the portal when they're not in the portal. And on top of all of that, we've had realignment that has killed the Pac-12. We have realignment that doesn't make sense with any geographical borders anymore. We have teams that are going to be traveling almost 3,000 miles to play conference games in the ACC and in the Big Ten, and, a pretty good distance in the Big 12 as well. And now put on top of that there's now a ruling that NCAA student athletes are employees. They're not student athletes, they're employees. They're workers for the college. So NIL, transfer portal, realignment, and now we have the potential of student athletes being employees. This cluster is stressful, confusing, and if I've learned anything, it's that prediction 6 years ago is not only turned out to be very true, but it is a telltale sign that when I warned the NCAA 6 years ago to change and do something different, they didn't. And now we're looking at an NCAA who may have employees, who currently has free agency, who has millions of dollars going all over the place, and doesn't seem to have control over anything.
Pitiful. It's like a wildfire. Those fires in California a couple, 3 years ago. Everything's gone. Everything that people worked 4 years ago to set up the NCAA and make it pleasurable for kids to go to school, get a free education and play football or baseball or basketball, that's all gone. Now, to get your point about the Dartmouth people, if they're going to form a union, which I think they probably already have, they're going to be represented by a very, very powerful group. It's called the SEIU, Service Employees International Union. Now, I know an awful lot about those guys because I ran into them 4 times. Once in Western New York when I was at a track there. 2 times when I ran the big track at Monticello. And once in Hartford, Connecticut, when they had employees there. What the SEIU does is intimidate and gets people all riled up because they're going to be making an extra 50 cents an hour. The SEIU typically represents parimutuel clerks in the racetracks, the food and beverage people at the racetracks, food and beverage people everywhere, and wherever there's a hotel or something like that. You can't be part of a simple hotel chain if you're not part of the SEIU. Now, the states that I just mentioned are closed shop states. Those are not open shop states. You can't walk in and work anywhere and be happy. That's not the way it works. If you work in a closed shop state, it's unionized, which means you have to join a union. Now, what's dangerous about this is that they've already got something in motion with the Dartmouth people. Now, I don't know if the professors and all these fancy colleges we got are going to be up to negotiating with the SEIU. They don't lay down. Now, I happen to have been very successful with them twice actually. Once I had to break the union. I had to break their union. And I did it in January, in the coldest damn month of the year, and those people are out picketing, and it worked out for us. But they're not going to be doing anything like that with this particular thing. What they're going to do is they're going to organize. They're going to say what they want to do and what they don't want to do. They'll give management some rights. They give the union some rights. And before you know it, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schools all clamoring to get to justice, because they think that they're going to have power at a level which is frankly quite minor at Dartmouth. Now, I mean, if this was Pennsylvania school or Harvard or something like that, it'd be different. But Dartmouth is very small compared to the other schools we'd be talking about. These people that going to be representing the players now, are hardline negotiators, hardline union people. They don't fool around. When they say they're going to strike, they're going to strike. If they say they're going to take over a union, they're going to take it over. So I don't know, as I said before, I don't know if our professors are up to negotiating with people like this. You can have all sorts of different fancy tags on, but if you don't know what the hell you're doing, you're going to get burned. Now, the National Labor Relations Board, which is in New York City, is going to monitor this very, very carefully.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things are probably going to come to the National Labor Relations Board because someone's going to break something or do something wrong. I just want to know what's going to happen at the very onset when this is put into motion. It's not cutting stride yet. How many students how many ball players does Dartmouth have? 15? All right, 15 guys. They're going to elect a steward. They're going to join a union. They want to be represented by the SEIU. Then they're going to go to Dartmouth with their conditions. I don't want to travel outside my school limit. I want to have an easier caseload for classes. I don't want to have to practice 5 days a week. You know, they're gonna ask for ridiculous things.
Yeah.
And the Dartmouth hierarchy are going to have to figure this out, which is why you better go out and hire yourself a good labor attorney for management, not for a union. So it's not looking good, Daniel. I don't have any of the details that I want yet, and I'm not going to go calling up some of my people that I used to work with and ask them questions about this. I don't want to get involved in that. All I want to do is understand where they are, what they're going to do, what they want to do, and what's going to happen next. And I think it's probably a little bit of a shock to the rest of the schools. But Dartmouth is in the Ivy League, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about liberal schools, all liberal schools. And if they got a liberal staff of professors, then they're going to say, hey, I don't care, go ahead. We'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll give you this. And on top of that, hey, you don't have to pay for your education. What's it cost for Dartmouth a year? $75,000 a year? I mean, it's ridiculous, Daniel, and it's going to get even worse. So what's going to happen is that the idea of a person, a young man or a woman, going to school on a scholarship to play a sport and graduate is gone. That's all gone. It's not going to. The NIL has ruined it all. That's for sure. Now you're going to have labor relations problems throughout the Northeast, which I said closed shop states. So let them try to figure it out. Probably by next week I'll have some more information that I can give to you about what type of parameters that are going to be put out there and who's going to be negotiating what.
Well, I can say to you that, and I thank you for that. Once again, the background is wonderful to have here on the show. The fact that you are so educated and well-versed in areas and had experience in areas that affect the conversation we're having today. Because, I think a lot of people can talk about this from the outside looking in, like myself, but you have expertise in the field. You have experience in the field of dealing with labor relations and what can all come from unionizing and from student athletes officially becoming employees. So I definitely appreciate the fact that you have given a lot of knowledge and wisdom, value to our listeners and our viewers as we step forward here and as we continue to try and understand this, that you and I will obviously do our due diligence and working toward figuring this out. I have people in my family that have been a part of a union too, that have led a union. So, I think there's a lot that can come from the combined knowledge and wisdom here that Wake Up Call can offer in this situation, which I think is a beautiful thing because I think that knowledge is power. So with that being said, let's move forward here. And like I said, I definitely appreciate that. Look forward to continuing the conversation. To go to the NFL, Kansas City and Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers, to get into this championship game, it's the second time these two teams in 5 years will meet in the Super Bowl. So they're going to see each other again for the second time in 5 years. Kyle Shanahan doesn't get a lot of credit, but he's up for Coach of the Year. And we look at Andy Reid and what Andy Reid has done consistently. My question before the game, PJ, and this is something that I've argued and I've spoken about, and it's something that I've seen other places, other sports outlets talk about as well, which I find it interesting to kind of see what other people are thinking about this. And that is the reality of, are the Chiefs a dynasty? Are they a dynasty now? Are they a dynasty if they win this Super Bowl? Where is the dynasty conversation? I'm going to paint a little bit of a picture in the background here. So when we talk about a dynasty, we're talking about a team that in history will live forever as one of the greatest to ever do it. When you look at the definition of the actual word, and by the way, Dartmouth, like you said, you wanted to know how much tuition is, and it is a little bit under 70,000. I think there's other pieces that go into it, so you're pretty spot on there. When we look at a dynasty, it looks like, you know, when the definition of it here, a succession of rulers of the same line of descent, a dynasty that's the definition in technical terms here. In simple terms, when we're looking at this, because a dynasty definition in sports may come to you a little bit differently. It's a team or individual that dominates their sport or league for an extended length of time. I'm going to read that again. A dynasty in sports terms is a team or individual that dominates their sport or league for an extended length of time. So, with that being said, Pat Mahomes has been around for a short time in the NFL. When we look at Pat Mahomes and we look at the Kansas City Chiefs by year, in the time that Pat Mahomes has been with the Kansas City Chiefs, they've had an extreme amount of success. In the time that Andy Reid has been with the Chiefs, they've had an extreme amount of success. So when we look at this, and I want to look at the Kansas City Chiefs by year here, folks, as we take a look at them when we're describing if this is a dynasty or not, the Kansas City Chiefs selected Pat Mahomes in the first round, 10th overall pick of the 2017 NFL draft. So back in 2017, he was the 10th overall pick. And he was not the starter right off the bat, folks. You need to remember that. So in 2017, he was not the starter. He became the starter in the 2018-19 season. Looking back on his time, since he became the starter in 2018, and Andy Reid obviously being there as the head coach, the Kansas City Chiefs, since 2018, have been 12-4, 12-4, 14-2, 12-5, 14-3, and 11-6. In the time since 2018, they lost in the conference championship game in Mahomes' first year as a starter. Then they won in a Super Bowl, lost in a Super Bowl, lost in the conference championship game, and won in the Super Bowl. So they have played in numerous conference championships. You look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight conference championship games that they've played in. And they've won 2 Super Bowls in a 4-year span. If they win a Super Bowl this year, that'll be 3 Super Bowls in 5 years with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. So the question becomes, is this team a dynasty? And when we look at appearances in the Super Bowl, which they've now had in the Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid era for Kansas City, appearances in the Super Bowl, this is the 4th one. They've won 2 of the 3 that they've been in. So if they win this one, they'll be 3-1 in Super Bowls. They'll have played in 4 in the last 5 years. And there's already another side of it to the dynasty. So appearances in the conference championship, 6 in a row. Appearances in 4 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. Winning of 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. And on top of all of that, there's another element to a dynasty. And that element to a dynasty that I believe exists is whether or not you're hated. Do you stop becoming the underdog? The Kansas City Chiefs back in 2018 were a feel-good team. The Kansas City Chiefs in their first Super Bowl, thank God it's not the Patriots, a lot of people said. And the next time they had a trip there, thank God it's not the Patriots. In recent history here, there was still a love for the Kansas City Chiefs. There was still a look at the Kansas City Chiefs as that team that even if you're not a fan of them, if your team gets bumped out, you'll root for. Now, that's not the case. Now, people have become fatigued with the Kansas City Chiefs, tired of the Kansas City Chiefs, bored with the Kansas City Chiefs, angry at the Kansas City Chiefs. So, with the amount of times they've gone to conference championships, with the amount of Super Bowls they've gone to, with the amount of Super Bowls that they've won, my question to you, Papa Joe, is, are they already a dynasty in the Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes era? Because on top of all of the things that they've done on the field, they're now not the underdog. They're now the overdog. They're now the one that's hated. They're now the team that people are fatigued with and pissed off at and don't want to see anymore, which is how they treated the Chiefs and how they treated the Cowboys and how people have treated the Yankees and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football program. So are the Kansas City Chiefs, based on everything that I talked about and all the criteria and all the pieces, on top of the fact that people that used to love them are now tired of them, are they already a dynasty, or do they have to win this Sunday in order to be one?
No, I think you brought your case forward correctly. Yeah, they are a sort of a mini dynasty. If you go back and look at the teams, professional teams over the years, I'm going way back. What is a dynasty in my terms? The Green Bay Packers, when they first started in the NFC, their Super Bowl, they won just about every year, most of the time. I look at the Dallas Cowboys in the mid-'80s with Troy Aikman and all those buddies. They were a dynasty for a while. Now we got Mahomes' crew coming through. Looks like they are. Tom Brady is a dynasty to himself. There's something interesting that happened just a couple days ago, and I'm not sure how to figure it out, but I'll throw it out there. A lot of people always talk about systems inside of a football team. San Francisco's good because they have a system. And Brock Purdy's a no good guy, but he's a good guy, but he works in a system. I don't get that. And the reason I don't get that is because Eric Bieniemy was just overlooked again for a head coaching job or even a coordinator job. Now, let's go back to what the enemy's been doing the last 5 years working with Kansas City. Now, he doesn't call plays for Kansas City. Never did. He goes to Washington in his first year by himself, offensive coordinator. He blows his brains out. He doesn't have a clue. Now, is Eric Bieniemy, is he a good coach? Could he be a good head coach because he worked in a dynasty system? Well, the answer is no, because he's not. He can't. He's not there yet. I don't know how he's going to find it, but he's not going to find it back at Kansas City. Andy Reid runs the show. Patrick Mahomes runs the show. Kelce runs the show. That's how they win. When you put Andy Reid up against Kyle Shanahan, and no offense to Shanahan here, he's a bright young man, got all sorts of offensive ideas. It's great to listen to him and watch his X's and O's and everything like that. But Kansas City should be, listen to me, should be the favorite in the Super Bowl because of what they've done in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're not. The Lions, the Las Vegas Lions, have got San Francisco given 2 points. I don't get that. I know that the gamblers are going to bet over $20 billion on the Super Bowl, and the over and under is 47.5 points. Now, if you're a gambler and you're looking at a dynasty and you're saying, well, geez, look what these guys have done. What are they going to have to do this time to keep the dynasty going? Will they go over to 47.5? Will they cover the 2 points? Will they win outright and beat San Francisco? those questions need to be answered when the game is played. There's plenty of things to talk about in the game itself. There's some intriguing matchups in this game, and it's going to come down to, frankly, the defense of San Francisco trying to stop Mahomes, and it's going to be the defense of Kansas City trying to stop Purdy and his boys. So, to me, it's a toss-up game. It's a flipping game, a pick-em game. I would be very happy just taking the game even instead of giving it 2 points. But that's the way the gamblers are. But love the game going forward. There's some great matchups. I know we can talk all day about them, but there are some things that I would like to bring up about it within the Dynasty itself. Kansas City has remarkable players in skill positions. We know that, and we've seen them achieve some fantastic plays and wins. They boggle my mind, frankly. Mahomes is an extraordinary young man, and certainly a dynasty to himself, because he's only 28 years old. Now, how does someone like Kansas City go about beating a team like San Francisco that's giving 2 points? I don't get that either. We know that Kelsey is going to be a big part of this deal. Mahomes, of course, he's got some MBS. Marcus is going to be there. Mahomes is going to scramble. This is going to be a wide open game. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but there's so many areas to talk about. I mean, you could talk about forever. You could talk for an hour just about this game. Yeah. I think Pacheco versus CMC is a great running back battle. You got Kels versus Kittles, a great tight end battle. You got Mahomes and Purdy. Purdy's not in his class yet, but it's a great battle. You got defenses versus defense. You got Nick Bosa is supposed to take over the game. And my main man, Juwan Taylor, go.
Gators.
That's what I'm talking about. Juwan Taylor is going to have his hands full with Nick Bosa. So there's some intriguing matchups, and I think that San Francisco if they can put their offense together with Ayuk, Samuels, Kittles, CMC, they may be able to keep Kansas City off the field. When you're playing two high-powered teams like this, in my opinion, is that the offense is certainly the most important part, but so is the defense. But the offense is sort of like playing defense. If you can get 7-8-minute drives and keep the other team off the field, that's part of you winning the game right there. I wouldn't be surprised if both of these teams are going to come up with some drives that are going to throw the game out of whack. I know that there's some really super defensive players out there but the one I'm watching is Fred Warner for San Francisco. To me, he's the best defensive player on the team, better than Bosa. He's everywhere. He's 6'3", he's 230. He plays the run. He plays the tight ends good. Now, in my opinion, remember the old boxing one basketball strategy?
Yeah.
Where you had one guy running around, the best guy, the other four guys are just on the corners. Well, this is what I think Fred Warner's going to do. I think Fred Warner's going to chase Kelsey all over the place. And if Fred Warner can cover Kelsey, the other defensive backs can cover the rest of the game, I think they got a good chance to win the game. But that's just there's so many ways to go, so many things to talk about. You got Trent Williams is probably the best tackle in football, and if you ask CMC who he wants to run behind, he's going to say Trent Williams, and that's why he's so successful. So there we are.
Yeah.
Walk away.
There's a ton of stuff. I mean, there's a ton of things here. Travis Kelce, I mean, you look at it, Travis Kelce, best tight end in the country. And I actually said when Rob Gronkowski was still playing for when he was still in the NFL and he was still playing for the Patriots, I said, I think Travis Kelce is number one now. And now, it's like everybody's like, oh, yeah, Travis Kelce, of course, is number one. But I was talking about him being number one when Gronk was still out there. And we've seen Kelce. I mean, listen, he's the guy you key in on. He's been the best receiver on the team, and he's a tight end. He's been the best wide receiver as a tight end on the Chiefs for many, many, many years. And, even with Tyreek Hill, he was still a huge target. So when we look at Travis Kelce and we look at what he means to the team, George Kittle, they've been able to do things without him. There's been times where George Kittle's kind of been up and down. He's been injured. He's been this and that. So I think that Travis Kelce, to me, when you look at these two going up against each other, I think people forget about George Kittle. I think they forget about George Kittle's value and George Kittle's worth because so many people are paying attention to Travis Kelce. But when you look at George Kittle statistically and you say to yourself, like, okay, well, what has he done in his career with the San Francisco 49ers? Well, I'm happy you asked that question, and I will tell you what he's done. He was also drafted in 2017, the same year that Pat Mahomes was drafted, but he was drafted in the 5th round, 146th pick overall, speaking of George Kittle. In his time in the NFL, in his rookie season, he had 63 targets. He caught 43 balls as a rookie, and he had 515 yards, 2 touchdowns. In his second year in the NFL, George Kittle had 88 catches for 1,377 yards and 5 touchdowns. Then he had 85 catches for 1,053 yards and 5 touchdowns. Then he had 48 catches for 634 yards and 2 touchdowns in a season that he only played like half the season. Then he came back in 2021 to play 14 games, and in those 14 games, he had 71 catches, 910 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Then 2022, he had 60 catches for 765 yards and 11 touchdowns. And this season, he has had 65 catches for 1,020 yards and 6 touchdowns. So when you look at his 3,000-yard seasons, this is a season where he caught 20 less balls than one of his other 1,000-yard seasons and 23 less balls than the other one. And you look at this and say to yourself, look at how many yards he's gained doing more with less. 65 catches and over 1,000 yards, where the other 2 times he had over 1,000 was on 88 catches and 85 catches. So you look at Pat Mahomes, what he's done since coming in 2017, but you look at George Kittle and look at what he's done since coming in as a 5th-round pick in 2017, and he is absolutely no slouch. He has 37 touchdowns in the regular season as a tight end. He's accumulated over 6,000 yards in his career and has over 450 catches in the regular season. This is just the regular season, and that's not counting the postseason. So I think George Kittle is a guy that goes severely unnoticed. And then when we look at Isaiah Pacheco to me is one of those guys where, they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they were hoping that he was going to be the guy. He's coming out of LSU. They had a belief that he was going to do it. And then in 2022, when things just didn't seem to be working out, and they tried a bunch of guys. Remember, they had Darrell Williams, and they had a Williams and another Williams, and then they had this guy, they had that guy, and they were trying to make it work, and Pat Mahomes was their best guy in the backfield. Well, Isaiah Pacheco has offered another element, another wrinkle to this offense that they didn't have before. They don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, but Isaiah Pacheco has that opportunity and that talent base to break some really cool moments. Now, keep in mind here, he was a 7th-round pick. He was drafted 2 years ago. He was drafted in 2022, 2 seasons ago, I should say. 2022, round 7, pick 251. Drafted in the last round out of Rutgers. The 5'10" running back, Isaiah Pacheco, who wears number 10, has been in the league for 2 seasons. And in 2 regular seasons, as a rookie in 2022, 17 games, 170 carries, 830 yards as a rookie, 5 rushing touchdowns. In 2023, 14 games in the regular season, 935 yards, doing more, and he had more carries. He carried the ball 205 times as opposed to 170, 935 yards, carrying the ball over 30 more times. He still kept his 4.5 plus yards per carry average, 7 rushing touchdowns. In 2 seasons, he has almost 2,000 yards, 4.7 yards a carry, and 12 touchdowns. Receiving, he's gotten a couple touchdowns this season and over 240 yards. He's already over 1,000 yards from scrimmage this season, and he was over 1,000 yards, and he was close to being over 1,000 yards from scrimmage as a rookie at 960. So Isaiah Pacheco is no slouch when you look at what he's done. And then you brought up Christian McCaffrey. And Christian McCaffrey, by the numbers, folks, for those of you wondering about CMC, he not only has been a strong running back, but he resurrected his career. How many running backs in the NFL went from being the number one running back in reality, the number one running back in fantasy football as well, and then dropped off, went to another team, and became the number one running back in the NFL, the number one running back in fantasy football, deep into his career, removed from the original team, on a new team? This man has been the number one overall fantasy football pick in some drafts, the number one running back in a bunch of drafts, and he's done it in 2 different places, and he's done it when most people think that as you get older in the NFL as a running back that you die off. He's 27 years old, and this man has risen to the top of the heap in 2 different times of his career on 2 different teams. He was drafted by the Carolina Panthers in the first round, pick 8th overall out of Stanford, also in 2017. So when you look at this and you say to yourself, the 2017 draft featured Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Pat Mahomes, and they're all playing in the Super Bowl against each other. That 2017 draft was a beautiful draft as we look at all of these players and what they've done. CMC, by the numbers, in 2017, he had 117 carries for 435 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then he had 219 carries for over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Then he had... What'd you say?
On a bad team.
Right, on a bad team. So he had 1,098 in his second season in the NFL. Then in 2019, he had 287 carries for 1,387 yards and 15 touchdowns. The MVP-like season. Then he only played in 3 games due to injury, 225 yards, had 5 touchdowns. Then he played in 7 games in 2021 and had 442 yards, 1 touchdown. Then he played in 6 games for Carolina in 2022 last season with 393 yards before being traded and had 2 touchdowns. He went off to San Francisco, scored immediately, and with the San Francisco 49ers, after leaving the Carolina Panthers, this man, in his first game with San Francisco, scored. In his time with San Francisco, he has thrown for a touchdown, caught a touchdown, ran for a touchdown. This man had a streak of games where he had at least 1 touchdown in the game with San Francisco. Right away, he was impactful on the team. 11 games last year with San Fran, 159 carries, 746 yards. So last season, he reached over 1,000 between Carolina and San Fran, had 6 touchdowns on the ground with San Fran. Receiving last year, he had 4 touchdowns, and passing last year, he had a touchdown. So you look at 1 to his 4, which is 5, and then he had, between the 2 rushing, he had 8. So he had 13 touchdowns last season, over 1,000 yards. It was his 3rd 1,000-yard season. And you say to yourself, okay, so he resurrected his career, but how could he do it again? There's no running back in the NFL that's been in the NFL for 7 seasons that's going to be able to do it again, right? 6 or 7 years. Now, this season, he had his best numbers ever. He had his second most carries with 272. Best numbers ever when it comes to yards, 1,459. And he had his best average on the ground, 5.4 yards a carry, 14 rushing touchdowns this season, and he's also caught 7 touchdowns and had 564 yards, which means that this season, this man has accumulated over 2,000 yards from scrimmage and has 21 touchdowns, and these were in the regular season, including no postseason play, 21 touchdowns and over 2,000 all-purpose yards for Christian McCaffrey, who has resurrected his career. So PJ gives...
I love him.
Yeah, so PJ gives you the... What'd you say?
He's the MVP this year. I know a lot of people are saying that Lamar Jackson could be. But, you said it right there. You gave the numbers out there. Over 2,000 yards, scrimmage yards. That's unbelievable. And, this game is going to be fun to watch because of the skill peoples that you've been talking about. Pacheco's a slippery little guy. I mean, he's not as big as McCaffrey. He's a slippery little guy. And one thing that the defenses are going to have to look for is they can't let these guys run around all over the place. You can't let Mahomes run all over the place. You can't let Kelch run all over the place. These guys have a kinetic energy between them. They know where each other is going to be. So it's going to be the defenses are really going to be put to a test here. And if Purdy can answer the call, I'd like to see him play well. I just want to see a good game. But I think that the skilled people that we talked about are the ones that are going to make the game. They're the ones that are going to make the game. No one that we haven't heard of is not going to make the game, unless maybe a kicker comes in and kicks in overtime and kicks a field goal or something like that. But it's going to be a fun game to watch, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely – so you look at all these numbers like we said, and you look at the people that we're talking about, and I brought up George Kittle, I brought up Isaiah Pacheco, and in the numbers for CMC after PJ kind of set the table here, and I started putting food on the plate as far as what we're looking at statistically, to look at Travis Kelce by the numbers. Okay, so these are all the names that PJ brought up when he said there's all these storylines. To look at Travis Kelce, or as some of you like to call him, Taylor's boyfriend, when you look at Travis Kelce, in his time, he was drafted back in 2013. He was a third-round pick by Kansas City, pick number 63 overall. This guy's an old head. He's been around for a minute. He's 34 years old, which in the NFL is old, and in real life is not at all. I want to give you Travis Kelce here. I'm just going to run down here and tell you these quick. I'm going to tell you his receptions from his rookie year to now. His rookie year in he got drafted in 2013. We didn't see him out on the field until 2014. So I'm going to give you his numbers. In 2014, when he was playing his first season in the NFL, 67 receptions. Then 72, 85, 83, 103, 97, 105, 92, 110, 93. Look at the run of that, folks. He has had over 90 catches as a tight end. What did I tell you? He's their number one wide receiver. As a tight end, in the last 6 years straight, he has had at least 90 catches every year for the last 6 years. By the numbers, 862 yards in his first season, 875, 1125, 1038, 1336, 1229, 1416, 1125, 1338. This season, 984 yards in the regular season from scrimmage. We saw him go 7 straight years with 1,000 yards receiving as a tight end. 7 straight years, and this year ends the regular season 16 yards shy of making it 8 straight years. This man is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He has 74 touchdowns as a tight end. There's some tight ends that play in the NFL that don't have 2 touchdowns in 10 years. 74 touchdowns this man has had. He has caught 907 passes. He has 11,328 receiving yards. This man is an absolute beast, speaking on Travis Kelce, and he has had an incredible time. So when we look at him, and we look at the fact that he was with them before Pat Mahomes, he was with them before they got going. He was a guy that was pushing on this team to try and see what they could be, what they could do, what they could become. And then we talk about Travis Kelce now, but Travis Kelce existed multiple seasons before Pat Mahomes came onto this team, before he had this link-up, before he had this relationship. And you see the amount of yards that he's put together and what he's done in his time. Remember what I told you. Pat Mahomes didn't become a starter until 2018, which means that we saw Travis Kelce get over 1,000 yards receiving in 2 seasons before Pat Mahomes was his quarterback. So he's been doing it longer than Pat Mahomes has been throwing him the ball, which is another thing that I think goes unnoticed and underappreciated, because when we think of Travis Kelce, we think of Pat Mahomes and vice versa. And in this case, I want to remind people, including myself, that Travis Kelce was doing it before Pat Mahomes was throwing him the ball. So this game is going to be insane. This game is exciting. To add back to the dynasty case here of what I told you before, are the Chiefs already a dynasty? Mahomes came in 2018 as a starter. Andy Reid was the head coach before that. They've gone in the time that Mahomes has been the starting quarterback of the team. 6 straight conference championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins in the last 4 years, back-to-back Super Bowl appearances in 2019 and 2020, and now back-to-back Super Bowl appearances in the 2022-23 season and 2023-24. So they've had back-to-back Super Bowl appearances now twice, 4 Super Bowl appearances in the last 5 years. And when you look at this and you say, okay, well, Dan, the Patriots are a dynasty, I'm going to hit you with this. The Patriots won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Think about that for a second. The Patriots, under Bill Belichick, with Tom Brady, won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. If the Kansas City Chiefs are to win this Super Bowl, they will have won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. So the Patriots won 3 and 4. We're looking at the fact that this could happen where the Chiefs could win 3 and 5. The Chiefs went to 6 straight conference championships. The Patriots went to 8. So they're right on line here. They're right on pace. And I said, when Pat Mahomes won his 2nd Super Bowl, I said we could be looking at arguably a guy who's going to pass Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time. And we're still on pace to do that. But on the other side of it, I want to mention somebody before Papa Joe and I take a quick step aside and hit another topic. I want to mention the guy who today is celebrating his 16th birthday, and that's Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is a 16-year-old guy who's going to go to the Super Bowl before he goes to prom. That man's got a baby face. And if people don't know what it means to be facetious, to be sarcastic, that's what I'm saying. Don't look it up. He's not 16 years old. You don't need to correct me. He's a little bit older than 16. He might be 17. But Brock Purdy, as we look at him right now and see what he's done in his time, he was the last draft pick. He was picked at the end of the draft. He was picked number 262 last season. This is his 2nd season in the NFL. He was drafted in 2022. Round 7, pick 262 by San Francisco. He was the last pick of the draft. Pat Mahomes in 2017 was the 10th pick of the draft. He was drafted 252 spots above where Brock Purdy was drafted. And yet they're both in the same game, both playing for a title. And Brock Purdy asked to step up last year in his rookie season, had a 67.1% completion percentage, 1,374 yards, 13 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. This year is the outright starter. Think about what they did with Purdy. I said at the end of last season, the day after San Francisco finished things up, the day after the season ends for San Francisco, my words to the world were, Brock Purdy is your starter next year. It's not Trey Lance. It's not Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock Purdy is going to be your guy. You might keep Jimmy, and I would think they're going to get rid of Trey. And what did they end up doing? They ended up getting rid of Jimmy, getting rid of Trey, after just getting Trey, trading up 9 picks to get Trey Lance. I said without doubt, Brock Purdy, number 13, my Grandpa Cavino's favorite number, that they were going to make him the starter. And as a starter in his 2nd season in the NFL, he went from 9 games played to playing in 16, 308 completions on 444 attempts, 69.4% completion percentage. I always look at this with a quarterback. When they throw more passes, they play in more games, throw more passes, and are asked to do more, what happens to their completion percentage? And the really good quarterbacks to the great quarterbacks, the more they throw, the higher their completion percentage goes. 69.4%, 4,280 yards, 31 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. This is just in the regular season. He also ran the ball for 2 touchdowns this season, and he had 1 touchdown rushing last season. Brock Purdy is a guy that cannot be forgotten. I know we're looking at the other side. I know you're looking at Pat Mahomes. I know you heard me read off the history here.
But Brock Purdy is a guy who is no slouch. And Papa Joe brought it up, and I brought it up, and I will say this again. Stop saying that you could put him in. You could put anybody in the Kansas City or in the San Francisco system. You could put anybody there, Dan. You could put literally any quarterback in that system with Kyle Shanahan, and they're going to be successful. And my rebuttal to that is, okay, then Papa Joe can play quarterback. Then I can be the quarterback. Then Ross can be the quarterback. Give Brock Purdy his flowers, because he looks better than what Jimmy Garoppolo looked like, and he looks leaps and bounds better than what Trey Lance was. So if you can plug and play somebody in Kyle Shanahan's system, how come nobody looked as good in recent history than Brock Purdy has looked in the grand scheme of things in San Francisco? On the other side of it with Pat Mahomes, these are his numbers. When he became a starter in 2018 in 16 games, 66% completion percentage, over 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns in his first year as a starter in the NFL, 12 interceptions. Then he had a 65.9% completion percentage, 4,031 yards, 26 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. 66.3% completion percentage, 4,740 yards, 38 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 66.3% back in 2021, back-to-back years of 66.3%, 4,839 yards, 37 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. In 2022, 67.1% completion percentage. You see what's happening, folks? His completion percentage, most of his career, has been around 65 to 66% in his last 2 seasons. When we talk about all the drops, all of the drops that his wide receivers have, the fact that he doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore, his completion percentage is going up. Think about if the guys caught the balls that fell out of their hands and where his percentage would be. Because he gets punished in his completion percentage when guys drop balls. So his percentage has gone up in the years that he hasn't had Tyreek Hill, and that is despite the drop passes. That is despite the dropped opportunities. This man could be over 70% if the guys could hold on to the ball. 67.1% completion percentage, 5,250 yards. Last season. 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. This is just regular season, not counting any playoffs. This season, 67.2% completion percentage, his best completion percentage in the NFL, which would surprise you because of how many drop balls Kansas City has had, especially early on. 4,183 yards passing, 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. For a career, he has 2,386 regular season completions. He's averaging 66.5% of a completion percentage. He has 28,424 regular season yards as a passer, 219 touchdowns, 63 interceptions. He has 12 rushing touchdowns and has almost 2,000 yards on the ground. That's Pat Mahomes. So Brock Purdy, he's starting his career off well. Pat Mahomes' numbers are astronomically insane. And when I read all of that off to you, I can't help but continue to echo the fact that Pat Mahomes' completion percentage is the best it's ever been in his entire career in the NFL. And it's been 67% for the last 2 years. Without Tyreek Hill, and with all of these dropped balls by his receivers. So he's at his best completion percentage ever, and it should be even higher. That's crazy to me, that without Tyreek Hill, his completion percentage is better. And his completion percentage is the highest it's been in his NFL career, despite the fact that guys are dropping balls. PJ. These numbers are insane.
I am. I know, Daniel. And it's, I've run out of gas, bud.
Oh, it's okay.
But what I want to say is that, in my opinion, after everything we've talked about and everything we've laid out, I know San Francisco's a 2-point favorite, but I like Kansas City to win the game straight up.
What's your score?
Well, that's a good one. Boy, if it gets rolling, Kyle Shanahan's going to be jumping all over the place. Andy Reid's going to be flying all over the place. I mean, this could be a 35-28 game. I do say that the 47.5 points for under is way too low. If they get going, forget about it.
So, who are you picking?
I'm picking Kansas City straight up.
Okay, you're picking Kansas City. Do you have a score?
I'm going to say 28-20.
And who's your MVP?
Well, if Kansas City wins the game, it's probably going to be Mahomes. It can't be Kels because Kels needs Mahomes to throw him the ball. So I don't, a lot of those passes that Mahomes completes are those quick little screen passes to Kels on the outside, and he takes off. If Mahomes plays his game, he's the MVP. Kels can't be the MVP because Mahomes is going to have to throw him the ball. So on the other side, if San Francisco gets rolling, it's because of CMC. If CMC is involved in both sides of the game, passing and catching and running, it's going to be tough to stop him.
Yeah. So that's a prediction from PJ, 28-20 Chiefs. Pat Mahomes is the MVP. And as always, Papa Joe, appreciate it. Appreciate your time and your expertise. I know you're feeling a little bit in pain today, so I hope you get well, get better. You're always in my prayers, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Thanks for fighting through it to be on the show here today, and I look forward to talking with you.
Okay, thank you, Daniel.
Hey, take care. That coming from Papa Joe one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And I thank PJ for being on the show. He's been through a bunch over the years. And, it's one of those things where, I love him to pieces. And he's been through a lot. And I don't think anybody knows what he's been through, And, he knows, and MT knows, and Joey knows, and I know enough to say that he is a trooper. When he comes on this show for you guys, folks, he does it with love. What did I tell you? You either love something or you think you love something. And Papa Joe loves sports, and he loves talking about it, and he loves interacting with you all. And just sharing in this passion for the sports world. And he loves bringing people together. He's got a strong faith. He's a great person. So he sends his love, and I hope you send your love back to PJ. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back to wrap up the show right after this.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognize that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is available 7 days a week, open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. You can find GG Cards and Breaks with so much to offer, from singles to graded cards to packs and boxes. They're constantly adding inventory, and they're constantly having inventory go away because somebody comes in, buys up all those boxes, buys those cards they're looking for, those autos. There's RPAs, the rookie patch auto, the numbered cards, the one of ones. They have so many amazing things that come into GG Cards and Breaks, and I can say that because I go in there all the time, and it's hard to keep me out daily. Seriously, I'm driving around, I'm going, I should check what they have, because I just love the hobby. I love collecting cards of the players that I love and the teams that I love, and I've done it my whole life. But if you've never done it, now is the perfect time to try, the perfect time to get out there. Buy a pack. It's fun. It's exciting. And the difference between buying a pack of cards and buying a lottery ticket is if you lose on the lottery ticket, you throw it out. If you open up the pack of cards, you never know what you're going to find. And, I mean, I opened up a pack of cards as an example here. I opened up a pack of cards years ago, and I had Steph Curry's rookie card. Totally forgot that I opened it in a pack, a regular pack of NBA cards. I just put it in my desk. I was like, whatever. You know? And then I was going through stuff, and I was like, this is a Steph Curry rookie card. And then I looked up the price of it on eBay, and I was like, oh, what? I should probably put this in a top loader. I'd probably take care of this card, you know? So you never know what you're going to find. I mean, think about it. Think about the people that got all those Brock Purdy rookie cards, the Brock Purdy base cards, the Brock Purdy this, Brock Purdy that, Brock Purdy auto, and they're like, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to throw it out. And now that Brock Purdy card, especially the graded ones, the autograph ones, the ones that are numbered, the rookies, you're selling those puppies. So it is a beautiful thing. It's like the stock market, and you invest in it and you watch it go up and down and around the corner, and there's so many fun things that can happen with it. There's so many storylines, and it creates conversation. I went into GG Cards and Breaks, talked about something I was discussing on the show. And I said, hey, guys, what do you think? Who's the most talented quarterback in the NFL right now? Strictly talent. Who's the most talented guy in the NFL? Wins or losses, most talented guy. And we had a conversation. I said, of these 4 free agent running backs, which one would you take? And we had a conversation. It's a place to speak on sports, speak on life, and it's a place to make memories with those you love. When I think about collecting cards, I think about my mom, I think about my grandmas, I think about my dad brought me to GG Cards and Breaks. We wouldn't be partners right now if last Father's Day my dad didn't bring me there. So I hope that you go over. I hope you bring your kids over. I hope you bring your family over. I hope you bring your girlfriend, boyfriend over. And you see what it's all about at GG Cards and Breaks. Experience the difference. 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, open 7 days a week. That being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I can't thank you enough for being a part of the show. And I want to thank all of our partners. We have incredible partners. We have people that are just good, high-quality people. And you got to sift through a lot to find the good ones. And it's not easy. It's like anything in life. You got to sift. You think you got a lot of friends, and then you realize who your true friends are. And you do that in business. You do that in friendships. You do that in relationships of any kind. Is that you find out, there's a country song about it, you find out who your friends are. Somebody's going to drop everything, right, and come and get you wherever you are. And then there's those friends that are with you until they're not. And to those people, I pray for you. I hope the best for you. And I hope you have a great life. To the real friends, to the ones that are with you all the time, to the ones you don't have to beg to be with you, to the ones that aren't with you in a contingency plan. I'm with you until this, I'm with you until that. The ones that are just with you. No catch, no angle. They're not using you for something. The ones that stick with you through every storm. And the ones that don't create storms in your life too. I think that's important. The ones that don't create storms, and when they're wrong, they actually do something about it, right? Because when I'm wrong, I fix it. I fix it. To the best of my ability, I fix it. So to the people out there that are the true friends, the real ones, thank you. Thank you to the ones I have. Thank you to the ones that you watching and listening have. Call them today. Text them today. Write them a letter. Go visit them. Go show up at their job and be like, hey, and they're like, hey, what's going on? Is something wrong? Are you okay? And you're like, yeah, man, I just want to give you a hug. Just want to tell you I love you. Love up the good ones and forget about the bad ones, because the bad ones wasted enough of your time and they don't deserve any more. Thank you for watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Facebook.com and YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We underpromise and overdeliver, and this morning, Ross coming on to the show. He was so gracious to come on to the show this morning. I want to make sure I got him on for Super Bowl talk, and he had to drop off my nephew, LJ, at school. So I appreciate your patience here this morning. We gave you bonus time on the back end of it to make sure that you had all that time with Ross and with Papa Joe, and that LJ got to school safe and sound. And so thank you for watching and listening live. And of course, once the shows go live, they jump into the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big time thanks to our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York: Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, PB&J's, and of course, we're the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Make sure that you look for your Dolphins every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time during Dolphin Time. And we have AD and DT new episodes the first and third Wednesday of each month, featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive, featuring stories with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni here inside of the Dolphin Dive. And we have gotten to tell so many stories over 2 years. We're in year number 3 in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Dolphins. Time has flown by. We have told a ton of stories, and I just feel like we barely scratched the surface. There's so many student athletes and coaches and opportunity, and sitting down with President Dr. Linda Lemura and the chair of the board, Pete DeLora, in his business, CAD Dimensions, and then speaking with the athletics director, Bob Beretta. There's so much to share about Lemoyne. I love telling their story, and I'm so honored. They've treated me as an honorary Dolphin. I'm blessed to have that, and I look forward to having so many more pieces of history coming to you here on Wake Up Call in the not too distant future. So much love to all of the wonderful people there. And with that being said, you could find the Dolphins by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check out the Lemoyne playlist that's on our YouTube channel. You can also find them by going to wakeupcalldt.com, and underneath exclusive partners, you'll find them there. And for more information, you can go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. As always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Bobcats every single month here with us, and throughout the season, you have men's and women's basketball season going on right now. Men's and women's soccer season finished up, but they're obviously going through recruitment. Baseball season's on its way, and of course, esports as well. I love telling the stories of the Bobcats. They have such a unique experience at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. It's a small college, so they're in the USCAA. Awesome competition, fantastic student athletes and students and programs. So many great things that Bryan and Stratton does, and I love the fact that I get to tell their story. I'm gracious, and I'm very grateful, and I'm thankful that they chose me to do this. And as we step into year 3, officially stepping into year 3 here in February of 2024, I'm honored and privileged, thanks to Nick Dimitrievsky and Alex Grigorita, for their leadership and their trust in me, Clay Gagan Sherman, Sean Peak, Tay Baker, and so on and so forth, Nolan Cass. I'm excited to have Connor Carroll coming on the show, the new esports head coach. There's so much good at Bryan and Stratton, Mary Hawkins, and I value it. I value the fact that they are a unique college, and they offer a lot of people to have that opportunity to finish up their schooling or to start their schooling. Life throws different things at us, and we might not go to school the traditional way, right? We might have gone to work, we might have moved, we might have done this, we might have done that, we might have had things happen in life, and now we have the chance, now we have the time. And for the student athletes that are going back or going to, and they have the eligibility, Bryan and Stratton offers a unique opportunity to make sure that that eligibility is celebrated and that it's utilized on teams that compete for national championships. Men's and women's soccer have won national championships. Men's and women's basketball have competed for national championships. And baseball, I'm hoping someday will be on its way because they just had their first ever season last year. And how many times in your career do you get to be within an inaugural program, a team that is a baby, growing? I love it. I love being around the baseball program. I met a lot of great student athletes, and I appreciate them tremendously. I love the esports lab that they have at Bryan and Stratton. I want to take one of those computers and put it right here in the studio. They're really nice, and they got the logo, they got the colors going. There's a lot of great stuff at Bryan and Stratton. So if you're looking to continue your education, you're a student athlete, you're a student, whatever it may be, James Street in Syracuse, Bryan and Stratton, get in touch with them. Again, their Bobcat Buzz every single month exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Bobcats here, student athletes, coaches, and administration all throughout the year on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell. You can search our playlist for the Bobcats, BSC Syracuse Bobcats, on our YouTube channel. You can also find them underneath the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com for more information. Go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and as always, go Bobcats. With that being stated here on the show, I want to thank you for being a part of the broadcast. I want to thank Ross, and I want to thank Papa Joe. I want to thank Ross because he is a superhero. He takes care of his 2 kids. His wife, she's out at work. He's taking care of the kids, doing all this stuff. Plus he's writing, plus he's broadcasting, plus he's coaching. This man does 1,000,002 things. And, to him and Abby, I want to thank them for all their hard work, effort, and enthusiasm. They do a ton of things as a family, which is a great thing to see, that you got 2 kids and they travel all the time. They go out to games all the time, and the kids go. And I think it's beautiful. So, Ross has always been a light in my life, and I hope you all have a friend like that. I really do. I hope you all have somebody in your life like Ross. And Papa Joe, same thing. I hope y'all have a Papa Joe. If you don't have a Papa Joe, well, I can share my Papa Joe. And I'm happy that he's with me every week. He is an absolute blessing. He is a trooper. He never stops fighting. He is an inspiration to all of us. And I absolutely love the fact that conversations over a dinner table and a lunch table and a breakfast table turn into a weekly segment where I get to share these conversations that I used to have just with him and I get to share them with the world now. And there's a lot of things that we've said, a lot of things we've predicted, a lot of things we've talked about that we're seeing come to fruition now. And it just speaks volumes to his critical eye, his consistent knowledge and wisdom gaining, and his hard work. He preps for the show. He plans for the show. He takes notes. He is an inspiration, you know. And I love every second I get to spend with him. He's another dad to me. So thanks, PJ. So thank you for watching us, hearing us, talking with us. You can find me 24/7 on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. You can also find us on YouTube.com, like I said, / Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.com. I am going to be airing all of my one-on-one Q&As with the Syracuse Orange coming off of their win over Louisville, where they won 94-92. So I'll be sharing these discussions. The press conference opener where Adrian just addressed how the team was doing, that's already up. The last second where the shot fell to the right of the rim for Louisville, securing Syracuse's victory, that's already up on our social media as well as on our YouTube channel. And going up on our social media and YouTube channel, you're going to see my Q&A with Adrian Autry, with assistant coach Alan Griffin, as well as JJ Starling, Chris Bell, and Quadir Copeland. Those are all going to be coming up after the broadcast. So after the show ends, there's more show, per always. So thank you for all your love and support. Thank you for all your kindness. And God bless you all. God bless, no stress.